Greetings and salutations, one and all. We are live and in color. Well, at least one of us are, anyway. I am joined by my dear friend Sal there from 2 Cents Toys, and now he's here with us. How y'all doing?
Hello.
Hello.
The Backstreet Boys sound a lot different from what I remember.
Yeah, they really do. That's what happens when you start chain smoking and stuff. You know,
I guess so.
It's one of them things, man. Sometimes you can't sing them damn pop tunes no more. It happens.
French fried fighters.
I don't like the way you talk. All right. Speaking of people talking, I see chat going nuts. Thank you so much. Bjorn Jorgensen, Keith Knight, Gojatron, Susanna, Teresa Nara. Hey, babe. Connor Fuller, Ted Millick. Is it Millick or Millich? I don't know. Jim Largo, Anthony Whitehead, and if I see Rez as well. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. I will get to you when I can. Appreciate you so much. Got a few comments on the intro. Love the Godzilla intro. Excuse me, that's Grindzilla. Thank you very much. Not trademark because we can't. Connor's like, well, you can't say warn. Exactly. That's the idea. We want to make sure y'all know there's going to be some language, and even the screen is blue to tell you what kind of humor we're going to have. Just saying.
Well, thank you, just to let you know where I'm headed.
I was thinking one thing, and you were thinking something else. It's black humor, as in dark, morbid, not urban. There's a difference. Look it up. Correct. So we are here. We are here today. We started talking on Facebook about this subject a little bit, and then we moved over to like Messenger and stuff like that, and decided to do this thing. And the ideas we were talking about kind of morphed into this idea that we should talk about the darker side of the psychology of collecting, kind of an offshoot of what some of the things I've talked about before. So we want to talk about fear of missing out and buyer seller remorse and instant gratification. I think the pandemic has really done two things. You had mentioned to me before that you're noticing a lot more people in the space in terms of collecting now than you did a year and a half ago. And also that we agree that the pandemic also, for people that were already in it, it kind of intensified that, because it's kind of like, have you seen Dark Man, Sal? Have you seen Dark Man?
Oh, with Liam Neeson, it's probably been the better part of a decade or more, but I have
seen
Fair
enough. Well, the concept of that is that because he got burned so bad, what they did was cut off the pain curves, all the neurons. And then the explanation for his extreme emotions was that being deprived of all of that external stimuli, that he then is intensifying the emotions. And I think in a weird way, the pandemic has done that for collectors. Whether it's frantically pre-ordering things, ordering things at prices that are too high, just because they want it right away. Or as Dave from Toy Play would say, I need it now. ININ. It's hard to say out loud.
I just think of like 9 Inch Nails, like Nin. I just add an I in.
In. Well, it's almost like as Jim Jeffrey would say, is. So yes. I wouldn't want to associate that with a terrorist organization. It's not good. Yeah. But I get it. It's a good way to remember it.
One day they'll become was.
I was trying to think of a Jesus joke, but I can't do it because they're all present tense and shit. But so tell me from your perspective, because I've been doing content for a very long time, as we've discussed, but I've done game collecting and I've done, like live streaming gameplay, but toy collecting, I've looked at from afar, and I'm not super deep into it until honestly a few months ago, as far as like really delving into that content religiously, right? So from a collector standpoint, as a content creator, how would you define that surge of people? Like, when did you notice that, oh shit, this is starting to get bigger?
Oh boy, it was probably about a year ago. roughly when we
Okay.
were, I don't know, like 80 days into 15 to flatten the curve around that point. Um, and it, it seemed like the Facebook groups were just starting to become inundated with a lot of people. Like I've been part of GI Joe groups and Star Wars groups and Motu groups and all that. Which Motu for me didn't. I didn't really get involved in that till the Origins line. It was my first chance to get on the ground level on something because I was always
Hmm.
there's like you look at vintage. I'm like there's way too many for me to get into to try and learn all the variations and all that kind of shit. Uh,
Right.
but I just started noticing a huge uptick for anyone who's in these types of groups, especially GI Joe. Jesus Christ, it's inundated with posts with "Who's this? How much is he worth? Who's that? What's this?" And then it'll be like a picture of a bag of parts. It'll be like, "Is any of this GI Joe?" And it's like, are are you here because you like GI Joe, or what are you like? I've done it before. Um, when I was getting into Motu, I started to go backwards and get classics, and because I there were a couple that I really wanted. I was like, I really
Right.
want this one and that one because I like Anti-Eternia He-Man and Slime Pit He-Man were two that I'd never heard of, and I
Right.
found them for a very reasonable price, and I was like, oh okay. And then it was like, well, if I get those two, then I need this guy, and then I need that one.
That's yeah.
So I ended up buying a lot off of Seth Hastings from Plastic Galaxy, and it was just a huge bag of like figures and parts, and I was like, some of this is vintage. I don't know. Like I did as much research as I could. Like there's a I forget what it is. It's like basically a spreadsheet database that has like this person comes with this, this, and this. Well, they would give you a photo, but some of them came with what was called like a secret accessory or whatever. Like the Megator for that line had an extra head that you can't see in the package, but it was all
Mhm.
package shots of these characters. So I was like, I have a bunch of extra stuff I don't know. So I took a picture, put it on there. I was like, what is all this? Like, that's how I got like Thunder Punch He-Man's golden power sword. Like, never seen it before.
Right.
But all that to say is, yes, I've done that once before, but I did the research. A lot of these people, they'll post a picture of, I don't know, like a Televiper or something, and be like, who's this? Like, very easy stuff that
Right.
they could just Google like list of GI Joe figures and they'll pop up. But
Yeah. And I find that to be it isn't just indicative of like the toy collecting thing. It's also just, I would say, when you look at just the internet age, you would think that people would know of and use these tools, and invariably they do not.
right,
And also, before you go further, remember that thing I told you about before we started?
was it the chlamydia?
Yeah, but the thing, because of that's coming to the door.
Oh, yep,
That's
gotcha.
that's happening in a few moments there. So I'm gonna let you expound on that, and I'll be
Okay,
right back.
gotcha. So it's the Salvador show. So, or I guess the Sal show, whatever you want to call me. I don't care anymore. It's all the same. As long as Sal is part of it, I'll respond to it most likely. Anyhow, um, yeah, Michael Schaefer says people are lazy. That is 100% accurate. Now I get it. Some things are not necessarily Googleable, if that's a word. If it's not, it is now. Um, like if you handed me, I don't know, a toy that I'd never seen before, and this has happened. People have reached out to me on Instagram, and they'll be like, "Hey, we found this." I cannot remember the woman's name, and I'm not going to give her name here online. It was like someone's actual name. It wasn't like Rose Petal 82 or something. It was like an actual person's name. Never talked to this person. She sent me a picture of a little orange 3 3/4 figure and said that they found it inside of a table that her and her husband were restoring, and they wanted to know what it was. I'd never seen it before, never heard it before, but I typed into Google keywords. I was like 3 3/4 orange, 3 3/4 this, 3 3/4 that, and it looked like a Fisher Price Adventure person. It wasn't. It ended up being part of some line by Tonka or something. I don't remember now what it was. This is over a year ago, but I would look up, 3 3/4 or adventure person knockoff, or like I would try to look using different key phrases, I eventually found it over the course of about 45 minutes. Now, to extrapolate that onto a mound of 20 figures or more, that's, I can understand not wanting to do that. However, you have to do some legwork, like make some attempt. Like, I don't know, it's bad. It gets really bad. Like, or a lot. What was it in the Joe group the other day that I'm in? Someone's like, "Who's this? Never seen this guy before," and it was like, I think it was like Rock and Roll version 2 or something like that. And I'm like, I mean, if you only played with GI Joe for 2 years from like 82 to 83, then yeah, I guess you'd never see Rock and Roll version 2. But you're in a GI Joe group, just hang out for like a week and you'll see him eventually. You know, so that happens a lot. You get in a group, it'll always say like new member or conversation starter or whatever the badge they have. And it's always new members that ask newbie questions, which is fine. I don't expect anyone to show up and be an expert on any of this kind of stuff. Lord knows I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. But do some kind of research. Like, I made and Michael French, a dear friend of mine, gets inundated with messages all the time about like, who's this? What's that? Have you done a video on this? And it's like, if you just look for 10 seconds, you'll see that he has. So, made him a little photo. People probably know the photo of him wearing the, X-Wing fighter helmet with his coffee mug. And on the mug, I put, "Not your personal Google." And it's, you can find these things. Like some stuff, like I said, aren't Googleable. Like I can't just type in like, "Who's this?" and, expect to find an answer. But through enough work, stuff is findable. There's a vehicle right now. I'm trying to remember. I had it as a kid when I was in the 90s. When I was a kid, I had this. Sorry, sentence structure is important. And it was like this weird, like mech robot thing that was on all fours. That had loops on the back that you would squeeze together and it would move the legs back and forth. And it was like mask scale. Like the figure in it was like 2 inches tall or something like that. And I don't know what it was. I have no idea. I'm still looking for it. But, if I don't have a photo of it or anything like that, like I'm not going to go into some random group and ask if anyone remembers this. I'm just going to look for it myself. And if I can't find it, oh fucking well, I can't fucking find it. That's just the way it goes. So, these Facebook groups are getting out of hand. So, all that to Zoids. It might have been Bjorn. It might have been Zoids. The Zoids I remember had like tigers and all that kind of stuff, but this was before Zoids. Like it was red and it had more of an like Exo Squad kind of look to it, but it wasn't from Exo Squad. So no idea. It was probably like 96, 95, 97 maybe, or 98. I don't even remember how old I was. I just remember finding it at Kmart in the clearance section. That's all I remember. And I only remember it was a clearance section because that was the aisle in their lawn and garden section. That's where all the clearance toys went. Also where I found my Mega Man. So that was just a segue memory. But no, so to kind of bring it back around, I guess, to the initial talking point about new people showing up and around a year ago, I think just people being shut in and needing a hobby or maybe losing their job, and they'd heard people who only have a passing knowledge of toys know that toy collectors will spend money to buy a toy. That's part of the stereotype. Like, you look a comic book guy or I don't know, Steve Carell's character in 40-Year-Old Virgin, like, yeah, they're not the best representations of the community, obviously, but that's a running motif. Or anytime that type of character shows up in a show or whatever, is that they'll drop money on a toy. And so now you have all these people that think vintage or old equals money. And that's just simply not the case. So that's how you get these people. Like the price of GI Joes, which I also blame the Classified series on that, or blame that on the Classified series. has skyrocketed in the last year to absurd and asinine amounts. It's ridiculous. And it's a combination of people being shut in, trying to make money, thinking old means anything. And it's just
Yeah, they heard a thing once, and now it's a side hustle,
right.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had a feeling that a lot of that was going to be your answer. So I'm glad that was the question that was asked right before that happened. So I apologize, folks. The most professional thing I've ever done. But anyone who's watched me on Twitch will know there was one time where I was like, should I go get beer? They're like, yeah, just put it on the Be Right Back screen. We'll just jam the music till you come back. And they did. So that's not that. So I do think that you've got a cross section, right? Mm-hmm. So you have a lot of people who are trying to resell stuff they found, or they found a box in their attic and they're like, I can turn this into money because they need money, right? Mm-hmm. Like you said, they lost their jobs, things like that. And that's a problem. And then you also have folks who, and I've seen this firsthand in the collecting community that were already there, that are jacking up the prices pretty hardcore. Right. I see that in the Superpowers collection a lot. I've been very blessed with the people that I've dealt with, but by and large, if people see a chance to make money, they're going to go for it. It's a very Western thing.
Right.
I don't begrudge profit in general, but Connor Fuller says there are a lot of people that still think their childhood Darth Vader's worth hundreds, though. It's true. And that's why I don't collect Star Wars, man, because people think, oh, it's worth a lot of money. I'm like, no, not really. Tony from Analog Toys says, hello, gentlemen. Hello to you, sir. Nice to see you as well. It's early morning for you, man. Thank you for being here. You can have a coffee, you can have a tea, but I'm having a beer.
I'm having a water and nicotine.
Well, you did just wake up, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone's on all these different whack out schedules. It's fine. It's fine.
That's like, I'm not one to begrudge anyone that, the people who sell these things, like, as their profession or something that they actually do legitimately, not just like every once in a while sell something.
Right.
I don't begrudge them for if the market says that, I don't know, Kenner Batman is worth $80 now. I don't begrudge them for selling it for $80. If that's what they can make off of it, then that's entirely up to them.
It comes down to it comes down to what the market's actually saying versus what they think it's saying, right?
Right.
And I think that there's a direct correlation between the folks that are, whether they had a little bit more money than they thought they would, or they have more time on their hands because they're home now, from the pandemic and stuff. And the folks that are selling things where there are sellers, I'm certain of it because I've seen it myself, where they'll put something up for, $400 just to see if it sells. And when it doesn't, they relist it at $200. And then if it doesn't sell, like they'll go for as much as they possibly can. Right.
Right.
And spoiler alert, I won an auction today for a Dark Side Destroyer in the box.
Wow.
It's only missing 2 parts. 2. And the part is the belt that goes across, which those are missing on all of them unless it's sealed, right?
Right.
I got a really, really good deal on it, given the fact that it comes with the box and given what the current market dictates, right? But this guy had listed it higher before, and I almost bid on it, but I had other stuff that I was getting. I was like, I don't want to. I'll wait and see if it happens, right? Be patient. This last listing, he listed at $2 starting bid. Left the shipping the same, which was a very reasonable shipping price. And I was like, I'm pretty fucking broke right now, but I got to give it a try. So got it at a good deal. Not upset about it. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to make it work. And he's working with me, so it's fine. At the end of the day, there's a balance we're going to have to try and discuss today. And for the record, folks, we're trying to do an hour and a half. We're trying to cut it off because there's other things going on after us. I try not to overlap when I can. All right. Mm-hmm. But we're going to have to try and conversate our way through a balance between satisfying the want to buy it and that gratification with the patience of finding the right deal without either one getting too far away. Because I think there's a danger when you're chasing that perfect deal, you're not going to get a mint in box He-Man for $2.
Right.
Vintage. It's never going to happen. Mm-hmm. If you don't do the legwork of going to every flea market store and toy store and everything else. And you might have
knocking on grandma's doors across the country looking for what they might have in an attic somewhere.
And be willing to lick genitals in certain situations and stuff. I'm not trying to be gross about it, but there's some pretty extreme stuff you might have to do for that to happen. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's extremely improbable. So you have to kind of be realistic about your expectations when it comes to the search, the hunt, whether that's vintage toys or modern toys, what have you. Mm-hmm. But it can also come around and bite you in the butt. So I might have gone nuts. This arrived today. And it's not all from Amazon either. Apologize for the mic placement. I'm going to try to make that work for the moment. But I got me a Deluxe Hordak, which you just reviewed, did a great job on it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't feel any pressure to open this bad boy now that I've seen you review. Plus, with me moving very, very soon, I might as well just leave it in the damn box, right? Mm-hmm. Beastman. I'm going to come back to Beastman. But the rest of these were pre-ordered as part of Wave 4. So we got us a Lords of Power Merman.
Yep.
We got us a cartoon / flesh color Evelyn, which could also be doubled as a Lords of Power version. We got us a Faker. And the whole reason that I pre-ordered this wave, Fisto. Yeah. So I couldn't find him anywhere, right?
One of my favorites.
Oh, he's a great figure. I apologize for all the cardboard noise up in there. I'm going to try and get through it. All right. Now, some of that came from Big Bad Toys. Some of that came from Entertainment Earth. Some of that came from Amazon. Beastman came from Amazon, and he arrived in the worst condition. His card back is busted up. Okay.
As they are.
They tend to be, yeah. Well, here's the thing. I ordered this over 2 weeks ago, and I paid well above retail because we have been conditioned with modern collecting. If you don't get it when it's released, good chance you ain't going to get it. And if you find an okay deal, you take the okay deal. Mm-hmm. So I paid $30. And relative to what a lot of Origins figures that are hard to find go for, and I hate to say it, that wasn't a bad deal, relatively speaking.
There for a while, Scareglow was hitting 80, 90, 100.
I got him for $30 and felt like I got away with murder.
Yeah.
And here's the problem with old Beastman here. When I was tracking him today as he was arriving, bear in mind, it took 2 weeks to get here from Amazon. Okay.
Wow.
It wasn't through Amazon. They did the fulfillment. Someone else was the seller.
Right.
So something, if you are in the Retro Blasting Discord, I've started posting links when things go back to retail on Amazon. Mm-hmm. And you have to go into the other sellers. For whatever reason, they're defaulting to like third party for some stupid ass reason. Right. Yep. On a whim, I said, let me go to the listing on Amazon and see what old Beastie Boy's going for now, which was the same price as I paid. I'm like, okay. And I was like, wait a minute. Because I knew I'd bought from a third party because it wasn't in stock for Amazon proper. But I went and looked at other sellers. He's on Amazon right now at retail. And I could get him tomorrow for that price. And so, yeah, I paid an okay price due to market dictation at the time. I don't regret it. But given how long the shipping took, had I had waited, I would have saved myself $15 right there.
Yeah,
you know, it's crazy.
And that happened to me with Scare Glow. I found one of those that he was going for 60, 70, 80, and then one day he got listed for like 28 or something like that on Amazon. I was like, that's close enough. I'll take it. And then a couple of weeks ago, he went up on Big Bad for retail.
Yep.
So he was only there for like 48 hours or something, and then word got out and then disappeared.
Right. And what ended up happening for me with other figures, right? I got Orko, Scareglow, and Trapjaw from the same eBay seller. Okay. All of them were well above retail, but well below what they were fetching with other sellers. And they offered combined shipping. So I paid like $4 of shipping. Right. That made it worth the deal at the time. Right. That was the same week that I had gotten the Panther and the Battle Cat, and Target said, well, we damaged the box, so here you can have them for free. So when you couple that into it, I paid just under retail for them. So there's things can even out, but you should never pay the top dollar. There's nothing, especially for modern, dude. Right. Especially. I do want to get through a few comments here before we continue. Keith Knight says, I'm having a beer with you, dude. I appreciate that, mate. Bjorn Jorgensen asks, how much of the perceived value is sentimental? I would say most of it, because the sentiment can come from nostalgia. It can come from, I need fulfillment, therefore I need this next to me right now. So that's where that comes in. Joe DeBecky, hello. And, okay, Jim Largo says, eBay bargain hunting and haggling has replaced toy hunting because shelves are damn near empty. Yes. The pandemic definitely did that. Kieran Paul says, look, Generals, what sort of eBay sellers you buy from? I mean,
the ones that are willing to work with me, obviously.
Right, exactly. I have a lot of mouthwash. Connor Fuller says, does pre-order hysteria from large corporations play into the ININ philosophy? Yes, absolutely. And I see a couple other questions talking about scarcity and things like that. So the fact is that and talking about Motu Origins, okay, as with many toy distribution deals, it's one of the toys, and there's always one or two toys in every wave at a minimum for Motu Origins that are they're hard to find. They only ship like one or two per case. Right. And as a result, they're hard to find because you have guys that are just waiting, guys and gals waiting at your Target and your Walmart to get those figures. Okay. Yeah.
There's another part that plays into that I'll circle back around to. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go for it, please, by all means.
I say, but another part of it is, and if you do this, I'm not talking about you specifically, the royal you. I'm talking about the community at large. Stop buying multiples. You only need one. Well, I got one on card and one loot. And why do you want the one on card?
For what? Exactly.
Like, you can keep the card. Like, we're toy collectors, not box collectors. And the thing is, like, they're like, oh, well, like, and then there's the people that buy three. They buy one to open, one to keep on card, and one to sell later. And it's like, why? Like, you're going to be sitting on these things. Like, the vintage toy collecting community has really skewed modern collecting. Like, everyone thinks that every toy will be worth money eventually, and that's just simply not the case.
We went through this exact shit in video game collecting in the last 15 years. So when I talk about kind of lamenting that I'm also collecting toys, like I was saying to Bobby Valla, on one of his posts today. How you can now get the back issues of the comic, and I'm like, well, shit. I guess I'm collecting comics again now, because I want them. But comics before that, it was like this wave: comics, then video games, now toys. Although toys have always been a little bit weird.
Yeah.
One real quick
Connor,
say
we can exclude army builders. That's entirely different.
That bothers me with some lines. That bothers me.
Yeah.
So
my max is like 6 tops.
Right.
And that depends on scarcity, exclusives, whatever. That's it. Like even for example, Sand Troopers are my favorite out of the Star Wars troopers. I only have like 3 because I only
get
need
that
3. But some things, yes, like I get the mentality of buying multiple army builders. I get it, but I'm talking like, hey Ryan, it's the like, oh, I need 5 battle armor He-Mans. It's the same fucking toy.
Right. Let me paint a picture for Connor and for you and for everybody. Okay. Okay. So the scare glow of the second series of the Superpowers collection at the time was the Parademon. Okay. And the Parademon was really hard to come by at the time. And those had a tendency to break in the box like Brainiac before him. I came across a guy on a Facebook group selling no less than 60 Parademons.
That's too many.
60, and he would only sell them as a lot.
Yeah. You don't need that. Yeah. You don't need that many. I promise.
You do not. And also, I would also say that given the prevalence of, I mean, if you look at like a guy like, say, the Craftsman, there's a way, Craftsman, you can make your troops with at a far lower investment. So, especially with toys like the Parademon, where you could just take that guy apart, create your ball joints.
Mold. Yep.
Exactly. And it would be a little bit of legwork up front and it would take you less time to cast each one than it does for the shipping to take place. Right. So if you also duplicate the molds, next thing you know, you can have yourself 600 of these darn things. And I'm considering doing that. That was why I really got into starting watching Craftsman. Yeah, aside from the fact that he's an amazing YouTuber.
Yeah, I've got my own silicone and resin and all that kind of stuff to start doing that because, well, I was going to start making my own little, not like a full production, but I was going to make little toys of people that we know and be like, here you go. But, yeah, like 100% cast and mold your own, like just make them.
Which I'm thinking about doing, especially where the Parademon is concerned. I'm going to buy one more because I want at least 2 to illustrate there's more than one in the army.
Right.
But from there, I will probably invest and start doing that kind of trash. And but I don't want to sell them. I just want to make them for myself. And like the whole thing is with vintage toys, I think troop building has gotten out of hand. I love Dave. I adore Dave from Toy Polloi. Like, awesome dude, right? He has way too many Skeletors. However, over 90% of them were broken and he fixed them. So he gets a pass.
Right.
So if you buy broken and you rebuild them, like total pass, complete pass, no worries. You're actually helping maintain a decent value for the money. Right.
Yeah, I would heard, like if you buy something like he has like the Wabi Sabi army, as he calls it, or his yellow squadron. Like I 100% agree with that. Like they need a home. Someone's got to love them. If he doesn't love them, I'll love them. But like I have, I think like 8 Black Series Stormtroopers or something like that. However, I pre-ordered them all. Like I pre-ordered a couple from Amazon, from GameStop, and I didn't like go out and just shove a whole peg's worth of action figures in my shopping cart and said, fuck you, everybody, and went and checked out.
Right.
Now, I got to speak out of both sides of my mouth here for a second. I do buy multiples of action figures, but I don't buy them for myself.
Okay.
So
same, by the way.
Yeah. Like this gentleman right
there's
here.
There's spoilers. I have another faker over there that I didn't put on camera that I'm saving for a certain somebody. You're going to be getting something in your mail. So, but yeah, I do the same thing from that perspective. But like for me, it was I had originally ordered Faker from Entertainment Earth, and I realized the only way I was going to get Fisto was to order the case of Wave 4. And I said, well, immediately I was like, well, I know exactly who that second Faker is going to, and I just made that happen. And I kind of decided I'm just going to start doing that when I start ordering things again, you know, because some people that watch the channel, for example, seeing all those figures, I haven't shown a ton of my Motu Origin stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I have literally filled my bathtub with Motu Origin stuff. Okay. It's bad, but also good. In the sense that when I do get around to making that video in a couple weeks after we're settled in our new place, it's going to be a reveal, man. It's going to be a reveal.
That's a similar thing happened to me. I ended up with 2 Fakers because I pre-ordered the entire wave from Big Bad, and so I'm of the mind like I'll pre-order at multiple locations, and whichever one shows up first, I'll keep that one and I'll cancel the other pre-orders.
Typically, that's how I go as well.
Yeah, it has to widen that, and I forgot to cancel my Faker pre-order on Amazon.
Yep.
And so he showed up, and I was meeting up with Bobby Valla, and I was like, "Hey, do you have Faker?" He's like, "No." I was like, "Sweet, now you do." Like, that's just
okay. I gotta bring this up. The lady says, "Jim, we need to talk about your bathtub, baby. They're not going to be in the bathtub when you get here. That's just where they are now."
Now, if they're all merman, they're bath toys, and that's okay.
Oh, I can never do a merman. I've only got 2 mermen though. I've got OG Origins. Yeah. And I'm going to kit bash those together a little bit.
So, and I can tell you the colors don't match.
I know they don't. I know ahead of time they don't.
Yeah. But I am prepared to do.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Because I recently just filmed the review for him, and I was swapping everything around. I was like, well, at least the armors match. Like you can, they're interchangeable. So.
What I'm going to do is just repaint the stuff that doesn't match.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't you? Because there's bits and parts on both of them that are almost inarguably superior. Like I think the original Origins release has a far superior head sculpt, in as much as it looks like a freaking villain, versus Lords of Power is like I hate that face. It's punchable as hell. Hate it, right?
But the armor on the Lords of Power
is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
That's the reason I bought the was that Billy the Steamboat Dragon or something like that?
Billy the Dragon Steamboat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason why I bought him, because he had that armor. It doesn't work good on either of them though. Yeah, Ricky. So he's just gonna be like a random goon.
I want to get that Kane figure for the Roboto thing.
Yep.
But here's the thing.
That's why I want the Fiend, because he has like the different attachments for Trapjaw. The only reason I want him.
You know what we need to do? Because I was going to bring this up before. You were talking about there's a list of figures everywhere. Origins, there isn't one. Even if you go to Mattel's website, it's not complete.
Correct.
So what you and I should do is build a website. And I have experience with that. If you don't, that's easy. We should do that. We should build that list up so that people could have their checklist and so forth. Because I want one. You want one.
So there's fan-made ones that circulate on the Facebook groups, but
it's not the same.
No, and it's usually like they have like projected stuff on there, but there's also, God help us, there's also variants now. Like my Evelyn, the new Evelyn, they said, they being representatives from Mattel, said that they were reworking the knee flaps on the females.
Yeah, let me check that.
Say my Evelyn has the normal knee flaps, and now some of them don't. Some of them have the new knee flap.
Of course, she's on the damn bottom of this box.
Of course she is. Just like there's 2 skin variations of Clamp Champ. There's
I got that one.
You got the new knee flaps.
Yeah, can you see that?
Yep, mine. I got it right here.
Huzzah!
Yeah, mine has the normal knee flaps. So,
that sucks, man.
It is what it is.
I can tell you where I got it from. This is a big Big Bad Toy Store one.
That's where mine came from.
You figure. But I will say this: they're very nice, and
they look like kneecaps now.
Right. So, like, my whole thing though is like I would when they do ship out Yellow Evelyn and Tila, I would probably rebuy those with those joints. I probably would, And I did pre-order a Green Goddess today.
Ah, yes.
I don't really care, but it's like, so and I realize this is turning into the Motu Origins show, and I apologize, chat, but
yeah, we'll circle back after this point.
We got time. We got time. But with Motu Origins, I'm what you would call a retail completionist. I have decided I'm going to buy this line, stuff that's available at retail until they're done selling them. Like, that's it. Because I didn't get to do that when I was a kid. And Michael Schaefer. I love Michael Schaefer. I love you, Michael Schaefer.
Yeah.
Variants, aka mistakes.
Yeah, that's they call it a running change, and it's like, you mean a correction?
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's kind of like with video games where when I was growing up, you got what you got. But what people don't realize is like Street Fighter 2, all the different versions that came out on Super Nintendo were just the equivalent. They were the equivalent of arcade patches that you could get, so that it played better. And I commend Capcom for doing that. I really do. However, when you expect me to pay $60 for something that you messed up, that ain't cool. Versus now, people complain about downloading patches for their games. Do you want the game to work or not?
Right.
Now the toy equivalent should be, I should be able to go on a Mattel's website, show and prove that I purchased Evelyn, the yellow one, and for I think $5 with free shipping is more than reasonable. Okay, because it's a $15 figure, right? I should be able to get the legs.
Yeah,
give me the legs. Not that hard. It's easy.
Yep.
And they're not going to do that.
Get the thigh parts, boil and pop them all off, and insert them.
Yeah, but for the average person, right? You take the legs off, take the feet off. Yes, just the thighs and the knees. So where it cuts off at the ankle where the boot is.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying, and I think you were too. Now that I think about it, but I should be able to do that. I should be able to do that. Same thing with the alternate heads. I did buy a Battle Armor He-Man specifically for the other head. And I'm also going to buy the reissue, which is available on Amazon right now. There's a link in Retro Blastings Discord, where it just comes only with the vintage style head. I like
sword.
That's right. And here's the big thing for me. In all honesty, like I like all of the head sculpts for all of the characters, right? And as to steer us back into that whole FOMO thing, right?
Right.
Keldor.
Oh boy.
And
Cronus.
I had no interest. Zero. None. Zilch. But I come across it. It was the only one at a Target. And I looked at it. My subconscious said, don't put this down yet. Because I didn't look closely at the packaging. Then my eyes found that Skeletor head, and I remembered a review from some larger YouTubers that really made a point that this is a really good head sculpt for Skeletor. It's the best one.
It really is,
hands down. Hands down. Perfectly captures new and old, where you have a little bit of the comic book in there, a little bit of the cartoon, and something a little bit extra with them jewels.
Yep.
And I said, frankly, to me, that head is worth $30, let alone all the cool things of customization you can do with the Keldor figure on top of it.
Agreed.
But based upon that, I'm like, this is worth my $30 of retail to get this head. So I grabbed it. And it was also like that whole like, oh my God. Like I got it off the shelf, right? Oh, Tony, what are you doing? Tony says, I have postponed tonight's Patreon stream to you, gentlemen. Feel free to go as long as you like. Sir,
Also, this
Appreciate
power
that.
sword is nothing to shake a stick at. I love this thing. And
You know what? I can't wait to do.
the Havoc
I have
staff
a
that turns green. Oh,
Yes. I have not unboxed my Battle Armor He-Man. He's got that power blast thing.
Yep.
How freaking cool would that look on the end of that sword?
Oh, I can do it right now.
Please, because it's going to be like at least 10 days before I can unbox that sucker.
Let's see, which side is it? Like that?
Oh, damn! And if you put a light through it, you could probably get away with it.
Probably. Let me move my little LED here.
Sal, if you ever... That's amazing, dude. Sal, if we ever wondered as fairly pessimistic human beings if we were worthy of our lot in life here, Gojitron, I've been listening to you guys while browsing a toy shop and talking myself out of buying overpriced items.
Good. Goji, you and I need to go to Toy Vault soon. We've been talking about it. He doesn't live too far from me.
That's awesome, man. And Gojitron is wonderful, and I'm not just saying that because he loves kaiju as much as I do. Great dude. And everyone here in chat, like I'm seeing names that I see in other chats all the time. And I see you and I appreciate you. I can't get to every single comment, but know that I see them and you are the best. And yes, we hope you feel better, Tony. Hope you feel better, brother. So, and yes, Michael Schaefer, Sal has the power. He has the power. So that's not the battle. Is that the combo one that you have there in front of me?
That's the back metal one with the battle damage.
I can't find him anywhere, dude.
So I just happen because I work at night shift, so I'm awake at weird times. I just happened to be getting off of work, and I had opened up Facebook waiting for the other shift to take over, and this is the only reason I'm still in toy Facebook groups or Facebook toy groups. Someone in the Moto group I was in said it's live, and they posted it 5 minutes ago or something like that, and it was the link to that at Target. And so I opened up my app. There it was. I ordered 3 of them, and then they were sold out like 10 minutes later. So I got one, sent one to Michael, and I gave one to Bobby Valla, and this one is going to Tony. So, like I said, I buy multiples, but I don't buy the multiples for myself. So, because I only wanted all I wanted was the base for it. And all Tony wanted was the figure. So, we're splitting.
Yeah, that's my number one reason for getting it. The second reason is to have an extra head. Mm-hmm. Third reason is the sword.
Yep.
And then the trailing would be an extra head, honestly. Because it's just nice to have a lot of different possibilities. Like that's right. Where is that? That's a Walmart exclusive, isn't it?
Target.
It is Target. No wonder. I was looking at Walmart. My dumbass.
So there's this little windswept head. They always do the open mouth, and they never change the eyes ever.
I kind of like that. Like on that particular head, I think it makes sense. And I think that's that perfect blend of like the original, like the OG sculpt, and then like the first origin sculpt. Like it's right in the middle. I dig that. Yeah. You added all that battle damage, didn't you?
Mm-mm. Nope, they come this way.
They really? Mm-hmm. The Battle Cat too?
Yep. All the red lines, they come that way.
When is your review coming out, sir?
Tomorrow.
Can't wait to see that in glorious. Oh my god.
So yeah, so it's pretty much only Motu for like the next 3 weeks because I needed to catch up real bad.
Right. I guess my whole thing, like, I'm going to look at this particular figure set the way that I did Keldor and Cronus. Okay. Mm-hmm. It will eventually settle down and they will get it in stock.
Yeah, 100%. So they definitely learned their lesson with the Rise of Evil 2-pack.
I think so too. And the fact that I was able to just saunter in and see that, and there was one, because the thing is, if the demand were so high at that point, I feel like there's no reason that single 2-pack should have been there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think that Mattel needs to get off their ass and just learn how to pack a damn case, is what it is. Who the hell's head is it on Ram Man right now?
That is Ram Man Tim. So that's Tim Whitten. But it comes
I was
from,
going to say it looks a lot like Tim Whitten.
Yeah, it's actually the Goldberg from their WWE Motu line. So I just
It's a good mashup.
Yeah,
That's a good matchup.
Since he's the Ram Man version for that line, I just did a head swap because the armor's attached. I can't take that one off. So I did a head swap. I was like, oh, it looks like Tim. So
you should make another one and send it to him. I'm just saying.
So this is a good dovetail back into our main topics about fear of missing out and overpaying buyer sellers remorse. I just happened to find that Goldberg on the peg at a Walmart here. He's now like $50.
Yeah, he is. I want to talk about that real quick with the WWE Masters of the thing, Masters of WWE. If you go to Walmart.com to order one of those, there's one listing, and you get whatever figure they damn give you.
Yep.
Granted,
product image may vary or something like that.
Granted, to their credit, it is retail, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if there was a caveat that said, if you order multiple, we promise you won't get doubles. If they said that, I would take the plunge. I legitimately would, because it is a Walmart exclusive. And if I get figures I don't want, I can put them on eBay at $20 a pop, make a modest profit without gouging anybody, and then get the figures I want. Like I said, because if I get 4 figures I don't want, sell them at $20 a pop, I make 20 extra bucks, and then I can afford to just zero in on the figure that I want, and I'm not out any money really at all. And I've only paid $60 for whatever that $80 figure is. That's my mentality, right? So if you're selling something as a private individual, I don't see any reason that you should be ashamed of a 30% markup. Okay. I think that 25 to 30% tops, I think is more than reasonable in the market, especially for things that you cannot always find on the peg. But people take it to an extreme, and it's nuts. Trapjaw, by far the hardest figure right now to find in Origins. Would you agree? If you know of someone harder to find, let me know.
I'm trying to rack my brain and think of who all we have. Like, because I have them all so far.
I'm very close
for She-Ra, but just because I don't really
you don't have She-Ra?
I don't have any interest in owning She-Ra.
I was told by multiple people if I didn't get a She-Ra that I was an evil person and I could turn in my all-inclusionary status, and they're right. I kind of want all of the She-Ra stuff to come through. Like I'm a mark for like the Horde troopers and stuff.
That's the stuff I like. I love Hordak, but
yeah,
just, like I didn't know what She-Ra was until like probably 10 years ago. So
that's fair.
Like, I don't have any connection to her. I'm like, He-Man's sister, cool. Like if I see her, I'll get her, but I'm not gonna pay double retail for her.
Well, like I started looking at the She-Ra stuff because I didn't have a lot of those toys as a kid, but I liked the cartoon well enough. Because when I got sick of the He-Man reruns, I could watch new adventures with She-Ra and get the same vibe. So it was totally cool for me as a kid. But I didn't know how deep that toy line really went. I didn't even know she had her own crystal palace or whatever. So I've been looking at those on eBay. Like you can get one for an okay price. I almost bought a shell for $20 just to have it on the shelf, kind of a thing. Because if you get a really clean, minty looking shell, and you get like a beat up complete one later, you're good.
James Salzberg, just real quick, says he remembers those figs were all Motu cards, aren't Princess of Power, and that's because Hordak, if I'm not mistaken, was supposed to be in Motu and got sidelined into She-Ra.
Yep, I have been rewatching so many videos to re-educate myself because I was there, right? When it came to Motu Vintage, I was born in 77. Like Tony and I are a few months apart in age. So like he and I align on so many things. Well, I think that's part of why we're such good friends already. Love you, dude. I hope you feel better. Gatorade, Alka-Seltzer, do it. Pedialyte too. I don't know if you have that in Australia, but get you some Pedialyte enhanced care. Like, I'm not joking. That stuff works. That will wake up your colon no matter what's happening. Love that stuff to death. But you know, because of my age, when Master of the Universe came out, I was into it. I believe I had a couple. But in 83, when the cartoon came out, my parents went ham because they could see I watched the cartoon all the time. That's when I got Grayskull and all this other stuff. And continued to get stuff throughout the thing and everything else. And my parents are really cool about kind of indulging all of the toy lines to a certain degree. And the only one that I ever had everything of was that Series 1 Superpowers. So why I talk about it so goddamn much. So, but they're all intertwined with like the whole thing. What I'm getting at is this. Even though I didn't collect the She-Ra stuff, it was in my purvey and coming back around, knowing I've got She-Ra, knowing I've got Hordak. And even though we may never see the rest of those figures, I know we're not going to get that Princess of Power castle.
Right.
I think is an important part of the history. And given the, you know, scale adjacency that we have, right? Because it's not perfect. It's not a 1-to-1, but it's really close, right? There's no reason for me not to have one when I find one at the right price. But because it's not super nostalgic, I have no problem waiting to find the right one, you know. So in your opinion, what's the over-under on a Snake Mountain for Origins? I think it's at least a 65% chance.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think we'll see it. It'll come to retail. I don't know how long Origins will be around, what the end game is. Like most toy lines, as we know, come and go inside of 3 years, usually.
Which is what I think will happen.
Yeah, so I imagine we'll see Snake Mountain towards the end of this line. But I mean, PowerCon I think is next month, so we might have an announcement. I was talking to Michael and Tony when Mattel Creations got announced. People were like, "Oh, maybe we'll get Snake Mountain." I was like, "Snake Mountain will see a retail release. It'll probably be a Target exclusive because Grayskull was a Walmart exclusive.
Right.
Mattel Creations will probably be used to make an Eternia playset. That's my guess."
What I would like to see, if they're going to do Eternia, and Michael Schaefer, thank you for bringing that up. I looked at the old Eternia playset. I've looked at all the videos I could find, and it turns out that the best videos you can find are less than a year old on Eternia. It's that scarce.
Yep.
Okay. And that's a fun little playset. Ain't even worth 10% of what it's going for right now.
Nope.
In my
I have a screenshot on my phone right now. Let me find it. Where is it? Because I just saw one. Someone posted a picture.
If you want to send me on the Farce brick, I can bring it in and actually show it. If you want me to.
Yep. I'll do that. So.
Okay. But what I think, I might have misheard you, but I would love to see the compatibility where what they'd give you is like the center of Eternia, and then it would then attach to the existing Snake Mountain and Castle Grayskull playsets. And I'm totally cool with that. I would totally buy it, especially at the price point that they're giving it. I just got your picture.
Yeah.
I've seen it go for a hell of a lot more, actually.
Now, read the stuff at the bottom that tells you everything that's missing, what's broken, and that's...
Okay, that's a gigantic fuck off right there.
Yeah. Like,
let me... Yeah, I want to show this with the chat. So, for those that don't know what Eternia is, can you explain it briefly while I get this transferred over?
So Eternia is a playset that is completely overhyped and everything else. I know it has its fans. It's one of those things. So the Eternia is a central tower that, to me, if I didn't know it was from He-Man, I would assume it was from Thundercats because it's got like a big tiger at the bottom. and it
Yep.
has a representative of Snake Mountain and Gray Skull on either side. They're basically confined to two cylindrical-looking towers, and there's a monorail system that connects all of them. That I guess that was the main play gimmick,
Which is kind of cool. Kinda.
right. When it comes to Eternia play or Preternia, whatever they're calling it, my lore-based knowledge is only from like 2000X onward. I don't know what it was originally when it came out, like what the mini comics would have said about it. Because
Well, what it was designed to be, was literal. This was meant to represent the planet more or less,
okay,
and also to represent like the just to give you like in other words to round out. You got the dark and the light side and all this
right,
stuff.
yeah,
Let me go ahead and share this screen share. This one, cool. That's pretty neat there, StreamYard. I like that.
mm-hmm.
So this is what Sal's talking about. $2,750. Now, given the rarity of this, if it was a boxed example that was complete, I could dig it under the circumstances. Okay, I've seen it go for, like I said, a lot more, but it's missing the Viper Tower. It's missing 4 of the chains. It is missing the gold manta ray. It's missing a flagpole and a flag. It's missing 2 flag clips, missing the battle tram shield canopy, which is the hardest part to find, apparently. And some monorail pieces are broken. Motor for tram works. Oh boy. The easiest thing to fix works. Are you out of your freaking mind, sir or ma'am?
Yep, that was
crazy.
One of those Facebook posts that someone was like, hey, I found, and I cropped it just to get like that part where it had all the missing stuff. But it's
Right.
like, hey, I found this. Is this a good price? And it's like, yeah, if you're willing to, the old phrase about a fool and his money.
Right. Yeah.
So,
If you're willing to part with that much money for a partial playset, then I got some property I want to sell you.
right. I got a bridge.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So and that's a good dovetail back into like I need it now and FOMO and everything else.
Michael Schaefer, is Jeff Barker the fella that hangs out with Pixel Dan? Because I think that's the same video I watched. Am I wrong? Because I apologize in advance if there's somebody in the community that I don't know. I'm still relatively new in these circles.
Yeah.
I knew Pixel Dan before because of the video game thing, and now
Right.
like the whole it's all different for me.
I tell you, the toy YouTube community is gigantic. Every day,
I've noticed that.
Yeah, and all these Facebook groups I'm in, I see people posting like, "Oh, I did a review on this," or massive epic toy hunt. OMG, won't believe what I found. And it's like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, all right, and some of these people have like 80,000, 90,000 like subs, and I'm like, I don't know who this person is.
Jeff Barker's a patron for Analog Toys. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. And the fact of the matter is that like I've noticed like how big the toy community is on YouTube overall.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that, and this is my personal estimation, maybe it's old guy talk, okay? And I think that I can have a certain degree of objectivity, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of the reason that so many of us have gotten along so quickly is the simple fact that we're just genuine, real people that have genuine, real feelings.
Right.
As well as the assertion I'm going to make, and again, this is not super objective, nor is it mathematical, but it's what I think given what I've seen. A good 70% of everyone who posts about toys on YouTube are a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of manufactured crap.
Yep.
Hype men and fanboys that will flail for the manufacturers rather than the property. Like if you're a fanboy for a property, I totally understand. I really do.
Yeah.
And I'm a stand for a lot of stuff, right? But it doesn't mean I have to like the people that make it or their business practices or the fan base. I can like a property, have nostalgia for it, and say there's a bunch of people that are not doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's called being honest with yourself, right? I think Origins, easily the best modern toy line to come out in the last 20 years, in my opinion. Easily. They have the right idea. Their implementation is wrong. It's the only problem. And it's almost strictly distribution related, whether we're talking about exclusives or mispacking your cases. I saw that you got the Castle Grayskull stuff, and I'm very, very glad that you got it because I want someone that I care about to get it. I didn't have a chance to get, by the time I found out about it, it was gone. And I am of the mind, like, Mattel's already shown their true colors. They're going to re-release that next year, retail with different 100%. Coloring, and I'm okay with that. But here's the thing: you need to tell us. You need to say there's an exclusive, has exclusive coloring. This is the thing you're not going to get anywhere else. However, for those of you that don't want that super exclusive thing, it's okay. We're going to put it out later, and it's going to be less vibrant, and I'm okay with that. It's fine.
That's like I can tell you right now, like that Secret of Grayskull, 100% is going to get released. 100%. They're gonna do the robot space armor, whatever they're calling it. They're gonna do that. What you probably won't get is the ghost that clips on top. That's probably going to be the exclusive part of that set. The Dungeon Grate, I'd imagine they molded it into Grayskull. There's a slot for it. They're gonna put that out, but you probably just won't get the tentacle for it.
I agree. I think we're going to get the tentacle, but it'll be a different tentacle and it'll be a different color too. It'll be smaller and it'll be a different color. Because they spent too much money on the tooling for us not to get that.
Yeah,
it's absolutely. It's stupid.
The spacesuit's almost 100% unique tooling. Like they're gonna reuse it.
Yep. So a couple comments. I hate to interrupt you, brother.
That's fine.
A couple comments. Tony says that Jeff paid $650 for an attorney a few weeks back. Now, for those of you balking at that, that's actually a really good price if it was complete. And I remember seeing the post now that he brings it up. That was a good looking Eternia, dude. That was a good looking Eternia. I would never pay that amount of money for any playset. I'm sorry. And please, someone clip that. You can't do that on my YouTube because I'm not that level. Sorry. Please, somebody screen cap that on a replay to remind me, especially Suze, baby, I love you. Please don't let me ever do that. I don't give a shit what it is. Convince me. You can do it. I believe in you. James Salzberg talking about we ain't got time for that bovine scatology. That's bullshit for those of you who don't know. I got a few legitimate questions here that I really want to dig into. First one from Jim Largo is you only live once, a legitimate excuse for overpaying on vintage. It's a tough one. I'm a sucker for nostalgia.
Absolutely not.
It is not by itself. Not by itself.
You live also every have day. To define, you only die once.
Quote of the stream right there.
That's true. I can't take credit for that.
That's fair. I like it though. I will say that it's a slippery slope. So overpaying is subjective in itself as well. Okay. So when we talk about FOMO, we talk about buyer, seller's remorse, and all these things we have wrapped up in our topic tonight. One has to weigh. All right. So I'm 44. I'm not that old. I'm still arguably very young. Okay. But both of my parents died of cancer at two very separated ages, both of which came from external sources. Dad from esophageal cancer because acid reflux medication wasn't where it should have been, plus his smoking. I never, ever smoked as much as he did, and I've had my acid reflux under control for several years. Probably going to escape that one. Mom from mesothelioma because of exposure to all the things that cause that trash. As far as I know, I never got exposed to any stuff she did, although I was in her womb for 6 months. I was born early. So I doubt I'm going to get that.
15 minutes, 3 months, you're just,
Right. Same difference for a kid. When you're born 2 pounds, 3 ounces, it's fine. And yes, I'm making up for it. The point being, I may not get those cancers, but that means that my genetic pool is predisposed to cancer, right? So for me, that means that every day that I live past, in my dad's case, 58, is borrowed time. Okay. So that means I have 14 years left before I start thinking in those terms. Now, if I want something, how much more am I willing to pay to have it sooner and enjoy it for longer versus the alternative? So that's where it starts to get tough. Now, if you're somebody in their 20s or 30s with no known health problems and stuff like that, just be patient, right? But there's a certain age, I think, to where it becomes, you become more financially stable. You start to think about your mortality, and time is more important, right? So like Mark Maron had a thing in his one of his specials that I love. I love it. And his girlfriend, who's younger than he is, would be like, "Hey, do you want to watch this movie?" And he said, "I don't know how much time I have left. And I don't know if I want to spend it on this movie." So I think that if you're forcing me yes or no answer, no, absolutely not. Not an excuse. But depending upon how you live your life and where you are in life, how much you're willing to overpay is going to vary. So overpay. And then we're talking about different lines, different rarity. And I have an example. Okay. So Superpowers collection, kind of my thing. Do you know much about the Superpowers collection, Mr. Saul?
The Superpowers. So I've owned a couple, not knowing what they were. I had a Superpowers Joker when I was a kid and snapped his knees off by accident. But anything I do know about Superpowers, I've learned through Michael and Tony.
Okay. So I want to go full screen here. I'm going to show y'all somebody.
There's Jim.
Look at this right there. That there is a Desaad from the second series. And in the second series, he's pretty much the hardest to get overall. Complete anyway, because he got a bunch of parts that will fall off on you and things like that. And as a result, he commands 80 to 150 or more, depending upon the condition. I managed to get him for about $50. And when I saw it, I was like, God damn. I'm probably never going to beat that price in that condition being complete. And I jumped at it. Probably shouldn't have. But at the same time, everything, all of my market research to me was like, well, the finding that price at all is rare. Complete, fucking forget it. And because I've been looking for, a couple months at that point, and he was one of those ones where I said, he was kind of the catalyst to get into collecting the entire second series, because the rest of the second series, Parademon notwithstanding, because you can get those, they're not too bad. But if I can get him at a good price, the rest is relatively easy. You just got to be patient. Mm-hmm. But that's the one where if you find the right price, you jump on it. So I did. So now it's like, all right, we're expanding. Series 1, Series 2 complete. And outside of getting a Justice Jogger to make fun of it, I'm pretty much done. And I'm okay with it. I'm not worried about it. And Bjorn, this leads into what Bjorn Jorgensen is saying here too. He says, does FOMO, fear of missing out, lead to people paying more for things? Because I have a theory that FOMO or scalpers are linked. Oh, absolutely.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that's the definition of FOMO for sure. And scalpers know that's going to happen. Like Kieran is saying here in a comment that I just absolutely zoomed past for no reason. Kieran Ball says scalpers prey on people with FOMO, exploit their condition. 100%. Michael Schaefer beat me to the punch. If people weren't willing to pay, they wouldn't. Mm-hmm. The lady Susanna says supply and demand. One drives the other. Demand went so high, supply be better. You're right. No one's wrong here. Yep. Michael Schaefer. I want to catch up because you guys are having a great conversation here. Michael Schaefer says anyone in their mid-40s is roughly 30 years away from death, statistically speaking. Happy Monday. You're right. That's me, Mr. Upbeat, he says. You're not wrong. Kieran Paul. Life, death, and toys. This live stream has turned badly. Entropy. Michael Schaefer is correct. And Michael Schaefer brings up the elephant in the room. A decent cyborg from that line is crazy price range. You're right. And I have no interest in collecting that figure. Someone gives it to me, I'll be eternally grateful, and it's fine. But don't care. Too much money. Too much.
A friend of mine back in 2019, for some reason, he's younger than I am by about 7 years, probably. But
Yeah.
he and I were toy collecting together. And that was something, just a very quick segue, and I'll come right back. Something I noticed in our military toy stream, something I wanted to talk about then, which I'll briefly touch on, is that there's a huge number of toy collectors inside the military. So I don't know why, but it just is. Anyway, so he got really into superpowers for some reason. Like, I don't know what, I mean, I can see the allure, but like they weren't really around when I grew up. Like the line was long gone. And when he grew up, they were definitely long gone, but he got into them. And there was a local shop that we'd walked into, and the guy had one of those Dettol cases and had a few of them in there. And, you know,
Right.
they were more than reasonably priced. It was like Batman was like $15. Superman was, you know, $10 without a cape, $20 with a cape, whatever. Whether those are normal, I don't know. But he had a Clark Kent in the display case. And my friend was like, "Hey, how much is Clark Kent to the owner?" And he's like, $10.
Jeez!
And he was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then this fucking gigantic asshole was like, "What? That figure's worth like $100 or something like that." He goes, "Oh, okay, price is $100 then." And it's like, dude, like, I'm not trying to, like, you know, rip this guy off vicariously, but it's like, you don't have a horse in this race, bud. You trying to buy it? No? Then fuck off. Like,
right. Coming back around, James Salzberg saying I have 2 cyborgs. I paid $350 for them in 1990, which tells me that you're not going to be getting rid of them anytime soon. However, and I'm dead serious, James Salzberg, if you have doubles of other figures, particularly from Series 2, get at me, because I'm looking, and I'd rather buy from another collector. Just saying. Okay, thanks, bye. And I agree. It was a tool. Kieran Ball brings up there are differing buying rules for vintage toys because their limit is availability. Absolutely.
true.
Try finding a vintage Fembot from $6 million toy. My almost yeah. You're right,
Yeah.
and that's why Origins is such an important toy line, right? And I saw an earlier comment from Jim Largo, and I apologize. I don't want to scroll up, but I can't highlight, but I want to read it out. I love superpowers, but settle for DC Universe 6-inch. I considered that for a hot minute. And then I decided, no, I want these figures because this is what kind of got the whole thing going in me for a collection. I mean, it was called, the word collection was in the name of the damn toy line, right? So, you know, there's some things you can't freaking, you can't duplicate, right? Marvel Legends for me is correcting a misstep with Secret Wars and Toy Biz for me. That's why I collect them. These are good sculpts of characters that have long been maligned in the toy industry for the most part, for me. With the G.I. Joe Classics and all these other things, we had the perfect figures. Motherfucker, just put them on a card. We'll buy them. It's a thing. It's not that hard. And they tried that with Star Wars and then like charged triple what they actually should be charging given what their machining is worth, right? Even if you did the inflation, which is about triple, okay?
Yep.
It should be $10 a figure for the reprints, for lack of a better word, the re-release of the Star Wars vintage figures. And if they were that, heartbeat, no problem, in a heartbeat. Not happening. As it is, I'm going to be looking around in some flea markets when Suze gets here, and because we both love thrifting. So when I find a big box of broken Star Wars toys, I'm going to be happier than a kid on Christmas. No pun intended. Because I want to try and start fixing them, you know. But then when my Brainiac arrives, as I've said to my patrons, Yeah, I could fix them, but I'm sending them straight to Dave. I don't care how much cost that adds. I don't trust myself with that Lego shit yet. I don't. He's got a broken arm. I don't trust him. I don't trust myself. But I also need to bring up real quick because I love Tony so much. Tony says, watching Jim gathering his beers gives me a lovely feeling in my juicy bits. I mean, that was the reason that I did it, sir. I'm here for you, sir. Here for you. One more before we get back into freeform conversation because you guys are just on fire. Gojitron says, I think Motu Origins hit with so many people because it's not just a figure line, it's a complete toy line. Yes. Yes. That's exactly right. And they've proven up front that the focus is on the whole shebang. You know, when I can get a land shark at a retail store, spoilers, I ordered online because that's how I am. Like this beer, I ordered online. I could have gone across the street and got it well before stream. Nope. I value my parking space more than I value the extra money I spent on it for DoorDash. And that's a fact. You have to gauge convenience versus value and your money proposition. A person making 30 grand a year is going to take that trip across the street. Person making 60 grand a year, they don't care. And that's okay. The market, it does not bother with that shit. So that's a lot of information for you to comment on, Sal, but I'm going to shut up, take a drink of beer, and let you comment on whatever you find noteworthy, sir.
All right. Well, just to talk about what Gojitron was saying, and you were mentioning like it's the whole thing. It's like, yeah, that's why we got Scareglow, why we got Ninjor, why we're getting Mosquitor, like why we're getting Fisto. They're not just doing 10 versions of He-Man, like I don't know, Marvel Legends. As much as I love them and I collect them, I don't need another Wolverine. I don't need any more Iron Man. Like,
right.
I don't need the 10th well, I need one more version of Spider-Man, but that's go.
I can speak to that real quick. I'm going to interject real quickly and you can come back to it. I think the reason they're giving so many versions of different characters is because it's a way to solve the problem of distribution without solving the problem of distribution. Continue.
And it's like, yeah, we got 2 versions of Merman. We got now technically 3 versions of He-Man. But it's like four. Battle armor,
chromized battle armor.
Yep.
OG with the OG head sculpt.
Right. Yep.
And the new head sculpt one that just came out.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't think about the head sculpts. If we wanted to count Prince Adam, I guess, but
I don't.
Yeah, people buy it for the Sky Sled. No one plays with Prince Adam.
Not wrong. And the thing is, like, I've been on the Mattel has a forum now for Motu, and I'm on there, and I'm like, please, just release the Battle Sled by itself for $15.
Yep.
So I want so many of those damn things.
Yep. That supposedly they're on clearance at Target for $15, but I have yet to see them.
If you do, buy them and let me know.
Yep. That's all I see people posting pictures of. Like, someone posted a picture of their Target. They were on clearance for $8. And I was like, when I see them at Target, they're still $30. So
right,
25
right.
or whatever they were.
I think it's all about where you are too.
Yeah.
I think it's all about where you are. And to be fair, if you're a Letterkenny fan, there you go. I think Prince Adam is good for customs. So that was my justification for it when I buy 2, 3, 4 of those.
Right.
I'll just paint them up and do something cool, like, you know, He-Man in Christmas sweater and He-Man in, you know.
Right.
So that's what I'm gonna start doing, is just making it so he's in like a long sleeve shirt. So I want to do one where he's wearing this shirt, like this cattle decapitation shirt, and do all that stuff. But that's really me trying to find a need for the thing I don't need.
Right.
Because I don't want to do what all these other motherfuckers are doing on eBay and selling daggum Cronus loose by himself on they're trying to.
Yep.
And I'm like, just eat it, bitch. Eat it. Just eat the damn figure. No, none of us want him. I don't want him. I want his weapon. I like having a spare belt. But he's worthless. Worthless.
Yeah.
unless you want to like have Trapjaw having like 2 human arms for no reason.
No, he's just gonna be. If I had like another one, they'd just be like random. I don't know, goons. Like,
Yeah.
but it's because the face sculpt is so weak on that figure. It looks like
Yeah.
he's like trying to hold in a really wet fart, and he's losing that battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if the face sculpt were more convincing, it would be a lot easier to do.
Yeah.
But I also look at like the Keldor sculpt, which is a great sculpt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think Pixel Dan was the one that pointed it out. Like it's almost 1-for-1, the same as the classic sculpt, scaled to Origins, and that's something to be said. But I have no allegiance to Keldor the character, because he was a 2000X thing, and I would love to go back and watch those and learn that lore. And it's totally cool. They have this backstory.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, but I'm a Skeletor guy, so I don't care. I just want the armor, and I want the body, and I want the boots, and I want the thing, and that's why I bought it.
Yep.
So, you know,
like Michael has said when he talks about like the Black Series. That's how I look at some of these characters in other, not just Origins, but other toy lines. Like when I.
Oh, sure. What? Did I lose Sal? I lost Sal. Sal? All right, he'll come back. So we are past the 90-minute mark. We're going to keep going because Tony said so. What Tony says goes in this motherfucker. All right. I saw a picture earlier of one of the first production head sculpts for him, and I'm super excited. I believe Bobby put that on Instagram. I don't know if it's on Facebook or not, but go check it out when you have a chance. So I got a few people talking about the Sky Sled. Bjorn Jorgen says, I'll keep an eye out for it, bro. I appreciate you. James Salzberg says, 23 at my Walmart. That's not bad, but that's practically retail. And he's gone. He'll come back. James Salzberg says, Paint He-Man version 1. The color? What? What are you talking about? Ted Mill Itch, because you said so earlier. Just pick up Adam and Sky Sled front to Ted. What? That's the thing. If we could find it at that price, we would do it. Bjorn says, did I find a copy of Mega Piranha? Honestly, sir, didn't look yet. Sorry. Been busy. For Kronos, he says, Paint He-Man. Okay, I get you. Going back to Jim Largo, he says, pinless joint Spider-Man's way overdue. Hasbro just saying, not wrong. Do I have anything here? Kieran Ball says, Origins has improved on Avengers toy video articulation if you don't count Battlecat and Panther ankles. Correct. I'm waiting for someone to come out with a custom video that gives the paws the joints. And then I will send both of my cats to them and say, please give them ankles. Thank you. Dave, if you're watching, can you figure out how to give them the ankle joints, please? Can you do that, please? I love you so much. He'll never respond to me in that voice because it's creepy as hell. Kieran Ball says Origins actually being sold on clearance some U.S. store. Right. It's all about the region. It's all about where you are. Right. It's all about where you are. And he's back.
Yeah, that was weird. Like I can hear you, and like, can you not hear me?
I can hear you fine now, sir.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I was saying, like, I had, like, nothing was wrong on my end, and then all of a sudden I got the swirly ball, and so sometimes it happens, even though I'm directly next to my router, but whatever. I only give them $150 a month. What does that matter? So,
are you hardwired?
No. I just got a new computer. So I have been using a laptop for a long time at a different part of my apartment, so I haven't gotten a hardwire for it yet. I know.
Prioritize that.
I'm technology illiterate.
I'll tell you what I lack in custom knowledge, you can help me. What you lack in technology, I can help. I know all that shit. I'll help you out.
So speaking of ankles with Battlecat, there's probably a way you could do it.
Yeah.
I could probably do it, but it's not going to look pretty. So there'd be a lot of cutting. Revoltech joints and probably like milliput or some kind of cement to fill in those gaps. But
Right, because the idea would be to cut the paw off and then sand it so that you'd have like a smooth articulation, and then you have to create the pegs and then hold drill it at that point.
That's why Revoltech sells the joints on their own. They're peg ball peg joints, but you can just buy a bag of Revoltech joints. So could probably do something with that, but I don't know. I'd have to find a fucking Battle Cat, which shouldn't be hard. They're clogging shelves at Walmarts everywhere.
Right. So it would be worth the investment just to see the experimentation of it. Yeah. So, but if you come up with a scheme that works, like I will pack both of them kitties in a box in a second.
As I've been buying a lot,
but
of
I can't. Yeah, right. Yeah. I can't figure out why, for all the effort that's been put in, and good, legitimate effort, in a world where you have lateral ankle movement on your base figures, how you don't machine that? Why?
No idea.
Would you not do that? I can't justify it. I can't. Stupid. Just freaking stupid.
Yep.
Sue says, I'm shocked the hotel Wi-Fi is allowing to watch us. I am also shocked, but not really, for obvious reasons. Oh, James Salzberg says that Battle Cat was 15 with damage box on Amazon. Well, that's not bad. That's not bad. And Keith Knight asserts that he's haunting you already, Sal.
Oh, that's fine.
If you're going to have a haunted ghost, like, you'd have a lot worse than Keith. I'm just saying.
True.
I'm just saying. Keith's pretty amazing. I love him to death. So we've covered a bit about everything this stream is supposed to be about. The one thing we haven't really talked about was seller's remorse. Okay.
Yeah.
Like the remorse aspect, buyers and sellers. So, should I have bought that? Like I covered that in a few things. I'm like, should I pay that much? Probably not. But then you look at it like, if you look at context, usually you're okay. As long as you're not paying higher than what your internal limit is, and also not paying the average value for something, you're going to be able to avoid buyer's remorse unless you're taking money that was supposed to go into rent or electricity or something like that. The other thing could be like if it comes back and the condition is crap, right? And not everyone's going to have a Panther Battle Cat Target debacle that I did. I still can't believe it. I was like, all I'm asking you to do is send me 2 of them that are well packed, and I'll give you back the ones that you sent that weren't. And you can duke it out with Mattel. And they said, it ain't worth it. Keep them. What? All right. But you're not always going to have that situation. But seller's remorse is different. If you're a tried and true collector and you sell something you don't have a double of, I feel like that's an inevitable, unavoidable part of all of this. Because if you collected it for a reason, and then when you sell it, it's like... And that's part of why, I as you know, I collect everything. Movies, CDs, vinyl, toys, games.
Yeah, we're both musicians, so we know that struggle.
Yeah. So once I have something, I hang on to it, and I don't sell them. If I have a double, that's different. If I have a double, I don't give a shit. It's fine. Get rid of it. I don't care. But anything else, like I just won't. So I get where it comes from when someone has something that they don't have a duplicate of and they sell it and they can get. I get that. Have you experienced anything like that?
Yeah. I've lost nearly an entire collection twice. So first, this is one everyone's heard about before. Nearly, like, I'd say 90% of my childhood toys ended up in a yard sale and just gone. Same. Then I started collecting towards the end of college, just after college, because as those who know have been through college, you have money for Robin, and like that's it. So I had disposable income, started collecting again, and I had a life change, and it was like all this stuff has to go because I don't know like what the future's holding right now, kind of deal. And without going into boring details, and I was like, all right, well, I got to sell it, and I found one place that was willing to take the whole lock, stock, and barrel because otherwise I didn't have enough time to piecemeal it all out.
Sure.
And it was probably it was a pretty substantial collection. I had a near complete run of the Kenner figures from Star Wars. Like I had some carded stuff. I had I want to say it was the B-Wing pilot or A-Wing. I can't think of which one. It was one of the pilots on the Power of the Force card, and there was a factory error. The coin was missing, but the card was still sealed, like had the waffle pattern and everything. This is before they figured out how to recreate the waffle pattern. So I had a bunch of like really rare stuff and sold the whole collection for like $300.
All right, we're going to stop right there. I want to let comments kind of go. You and I have been at this for an hour and 40 minutes. We're going to take a well-deserved piss break. We'll be back in just a few minutes, all right? Look, folks, the reality is I had paced myself for 90 minutes. Didn't work out so great. When Sal unmutes, I'll bring him back in. But it's one of those things. Tim says, I can't stay for the whole thing. Sorry. Hey, I appreciate you all same. Appreciate you all same. So, yeah, if I'd have done this, you'd have gotten that. But sorry about that. I'll fix it next time. Oh, I love it. Kieran Ball. I'm deeply disappointed the Grindhead Jim doesn't have pee bottle strapped to his leg for such occasions. You're not wrong. Sal is back.
I am back.
I knew you needed a break too. I'm not dumb.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not dumb.
It's always okay, it's go time. Then my body's like, bro, we got to poop. Like every time. So it's like, all right.
Yeah, and I have yet to find a graceful way to work them in. I've been streaming, like I told you before, I've been streaming in one form or another for the better part of 8 years. Mm-hmm. And there's no graceful way to be like, yo, I got to piss. And you got to do it. So my apologies to all participants. But now you know we're human. Mm-hmm. It's a thing. So that was the first time you sold your stuff. But you were selling it for a purpose, right? You were selling it to make money because you needed it at the time.
Well, it was my life was changing and I couldn't bring it with me, kind of deal. And I had one family member was willing to hold on to it for me, but it was going to go out into a garage that was notorious for flooding. And I was like, yeah, no. Like I was like, can I?
What's going to hurt worse, making some money or losing it to water?
Right. And I took a bath on it. Like, not to be like one of those, it's about the money, but it's like,
no,
I 10 cents on the dollar is pretty much what I sold it for.
Yeah. Like when I sold my TMNT collection, I got retail for them. I got $1 below retail and I demanded it. Mm-hmm. And because this would have been 93 or 94. Mm-hmm. And they were still going very strong at that time. And I needed new symbols. I needed new symbols.
Yeah, they do crack, so.
Yeah, not wrong. Tony says, next year for Iconicon, I'm just going to have a piss bucket under the table.
100%.
In the unlikely and ill-advised event that I am participating in Iconicon next year, my very best friend here in DFW is a nurse. I'm going to have her run me a goddamn catheter. That's just happening. I'll just run it. I don't care. I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck.
Get a colostomy bag while you're at it.
Nah.
Too much?
Nah. No, we'll just go full liquid diet for the week before.
Yeah. Just get an IV. It'll be all right.
That's right. Get all the fluids in there, all that stuff. We'll be fine. It'll be okay. Plus, they're not... Iconicon is not stupid. as an organization, they ain't gonna have me on there, and it's fine. It's okay. But if you did, and again, that's ill-advised, catheter happening. My initial collections, all of them, and I do mean all of them, with the exception of my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle collection, was given away without my knowledge or consent. Come home one day, they gone. I would rather have sold them at my own behest. At least gotten something out of it. And I never understood that. I think for my folks, it was a space thing. I don't know for sure. I don't know the philosophy. They never fully explained it. I think my mother tried to explain it to me once when I was drunk, and I didn't. I was like, no, I don't accept your explanation. But Tony, don't bait them, sir. Don't bait them. But what I'm getting at is that, like, I'm not saying that you should not feel bad for selling them, but by comparison to what most folks of that were around for vintage stuff, like, it's a different thing. But you said it happened twice. I want to hear about the second time.
Well, that's I'm counting the yard sale as the first time. So
okay,
the first time that happened, I was just done with high school, was going to work, and because got to pay for college somehow, and so I was going to work, and my parents were having this yard sale because the long story short, sometimes mommies and daddies just don't love each other as much anymore, and
sorry.
So yeah, they were like, yeah, we're gonna sell off all this shit so that we don't have to divvy up as much, and so I was like, okay, and Dad, just like out of Toy Story 2, I say it all the time because it's exactly what happened. My dad grabbed the wrong boxes, took them down, and everything. Like, I had like a handful of things that I'd kept aside, like knowingly kept aside. So I had like a couple of G.I. Joe or like just a couple little things, and everything else down to the yard sale. My mom told me.
So some of those, pardon me for interrupting, but some of those weren't intentional, is what you're saying. Is that right?
Right. No, like none of it was intentional. Like, well, I had like G.I. Joes, some Dragon Ball Z stuff. Like, I had a bunch of stuff that was supposed to go up into the attic, like, because they were kind of cleaning out everything, and
right.
So I had like boxes of old clothes that I didn't wear anymore, like shoes, sneakers, whatever, and wrong boxes ended up in the yard sale, and off they went. So my mom, this past year, actually made me privy to some stuff she actually held back for me. I didn't even know. So I have some of my childhood stuff now, but stuff awesome. I didn't even know had been saved. But yeah, so it all went the way of the dodo while I was busy washing dishes at Red Lobster, making that whole $5.25 an hour, because that was minimum wage back in my day.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yep.
And I got rid of a lot of my stuff unintentionally as well. Sometimes in my late teens, early 20s, I would just leave stuff somewhere because I was dumb.
Yep.
Or when you've moved as many times as I have, between being a military brat, being in the military, stuff just disappears. Right? Yeah.
Band practice. You end up with patch cables. You're like, I don't even play this. Like, what? I'm a drummer. Why do I have patch cables? So.
Michael Schaefer says, sorry, everybody. I have to say goodnight. Great conversation. Great chat, everyone. Dude, live long and prosper, brother. I love you to death, Michael Schaefer. Good guy.
Michael Schaefer, I want to hear you do William Shatner's fucking Rocket Man as Christopher Walken.
Oh, yeah. Love it. I would love to see that. And I have to, I was downplaying it and stuff, and it certainly wasn't the goal of me saying what I said, but Tony had asked chat what they had to say about me in Iconicon, and one of the people that said yes was Keith Knight. And Tony's like, well, if Keith says yes, that shall be so. I'm going to take that with a grain of salt. because you're hungover. Just saying. But at any rate, we lose stuff over time. We make ill-advised decisions on selling and things like that. And I will say that with games that hit me first, where I said, screw it, I'm grabbing everything, all the stuff that I had and stuff that I wanted. And I'm happy to say that with the exception of doubles, I haven't sold anything that I wanted, right? Toys, I'm in the same place. What he says, I'll be hungover later. For now, I'm still drunk. I have been there. And brother, the fact that you're here now, that, man, Tony, I love you, dude. I love you, dude. Susanna says, so one time a group of folks I played Vampire with wrote a letter to Christopher Walken inviting him to a convention. He wrote a personal letter back then, politely declining but flattered. Oh, dang. Or if I didn't like that story, I would have said, yawn. That's a Christopher Walken deep cut. I feel you don't know.
That's
but like,
I'm also a purveyor of vintage video games.
Dude, we have to talk then. We got to talk about a different stream.
I still own it. I can see it from here. My original SNES from when I was a kid.
See, all my stuff is rebought. So, do you do NES at all?
NES, I remember playing it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I was born in '89, so I was around for some NES. Like I remember playing Kung Fu a lot. I played I was actually really good at that game. Yeah, exactly. It was a game changer when I realized how to go up the stairs. I didn't know that was a thing. I just kept walking around like I don't know what to, because I was like 3. But so SNES is mostly what I played. Yeah, I still have it. It's the adapter in the back is broken, so you have to like angle the power cord like just right to make the contact for it to work. So
good buddy of mine, 16-bit Pete, if you're watching, and I know you aren't, I love you. He's moving here to DFW from South Dakota here later this year. He's going to help be a tech for my buddy's Barcade from the Game Chasers, which is cool. We met at the Retropalooza, so you've seen footage of him there. He's like a master modern. He's basically the undiscovered toy polloi of gaming mods, in my opinion, because he's community minded, as other modders aren't necessarily.
Right.
He's community minded. He modded a GameCube to play literally anything off of an SD card using the hardware. The chip existed, but he made it work in such a way that it wasn't meant to work, to where you could even do a Game Boy player off of it.
Oh, wow.
And he made it work. Turned around. He put it in my hands. He said, I want to sell this. Here's how much I think I need to get. And I said, you're really underselling yourself, dude. He wanted to sell the GameCube with a Game Boy player with the mod, and it outputs to 720p for $200.
Sold.
Right. I got $250 out of him, out of the person that bought it. So I got more than he wanted to get for it. But that like the Game Boy player alone is $160, $175 by itself with the disc. He didn't have the disc, but with everything else in there, that's a $400 unit. I don't care who you are. It's worth it. Because it came with all the ROMs on the thing too.
Yeah. So you needed that to play 4 Swords.
Yeah. And you know what? He's making a bunch of them. So when he gets down here, we'll see if we can't set one aside for you.
Sweet.
But what I was getting at was, when he does get here, send that SNES over here. We'll get it fixed up for you.
Oh, I love it just the way it is. It's
fine.
I have a hacky sack that slides under the back of it to make it work.
Tony's leaving, which means fun has dropped many percentages. Love you too, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you for showing up at all. And with Jaeger, I have to teach you about smart bombs. A smart bomb is a pint glass. You put 5 shots of Jaeger and a half a can of Red Bull, and you just down it in one gulp. That's how we used to do it in death metal. So just saying, you want to talk about Jaeger? We'll talk about Jaeger sometime. Ted Millich says, what do y'all think of what's happening in Afghanistan? I keep politics out of my stream, but I will say this. The U.S. government spent trillions of dollars to get right back where we started from. That's all I'm going to say about it. A lot of lost lives, a lot of lost dollars that could have been spent in better places. End of my discussion on that. If you want to hear what I have to say about that, hit me up on Twitter. We'll talk about it there. Jim Largo. Jaeger leads indecent exposure and drunk dialing, so I've heard. That's reality. There's documentary footage of me from the band of me on Jaeger, which will see the light of day at some point in the future. Not proud of it. And Susanna definitely knows a lot about what happens when I get on Jaeger. Just saying. And Ted says, sorry, news is on TV. It's totally okay, and I completely get it. What did Gojitron say up here? What game are you guys talking about? Guys, on the 2600, what are you talking about? What game is it? Because I love the Atari. I have a Darth Vader 2600 I got for $20. And that was recent, like 4 years ago to get it at that price. Oh.
Hell yeah.
And I just have a stack of consoles that when Pete gets here, I'm just like, dude, just put everything in these. Mm-hmm. Like, tell me what the bill is, you know? Pong. Okay. So my very first ever video game console was Pong built into a black and white television. That was the first thing I ever played on. And then ColecoVision and went back to Atari. That's how far back I go with that stuff. And that's a whole thing. We could do a whole freaking show about video games. So I want to try to get away from it. But vintage toys, prices are too damn high. Modern toys
too damn high.
Too damn high. Thank you for catching that.
Yes, sir.
Modern toys, too damn hard to find. Therefore, the prices are too damn high. Mm-hmm. And when you sell them, you're not getting enough of a return on your investment to justify the lack of fulfillment, for lack of a better word, I think. And I think that's always been true almost regardless of when you're selling them, I think. Mm-hmm. Even the guy who takes an entire collection, sells the whole thing for market value and gets a really good amount of money, as someone who has at different points in his life found himself with more money than he's used to having, I find myself spending a lot of that on getting back that stuff. Mm-hmm. That's what it kind of comes down to. So for me, it becomes this quest to, now I have this, it stays. You know, right. Like I'm not going to turn back around and sell it again. If I have a double and I can help somebody, done. And I don't want to gouge on that. With the modern stuff, it's different because I can make a very modest profit or give it to somebody I know. Read between the lines, you know where that faker is going. I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. So don't send that person a faker. And we'll talk about that after stream, just to make sure we're not sending the same figure to the same people. Mm-hmm. Just saying.
That's like, no one send Michael French a Castle Grayskull. I'm already on it. It's already paid for. Please don't do that.
Yeah, please don't do that. Also, I have a Castle Grayskull on perpetual pre-order that doesn't appear to be arriving. So, y'all have an extra.
Oh, good old Big Bad, sounds like.
No, actually, it's Entertainment Earth in this case.
Oh.
Yeah. They're weird. I'm starting to understand why people like Big Bad more than they like Entertainment Earth. Mm-hmm. At least with Big Bad, you can kind of put everything in that holding pattern and then like group them together. Yeah. I like that. But I can't say with any certainty whether or not one or the other is more superior. I just think Big Bad is more flexible. Mm-hmm. And they give you a lot more agency with your order. Like I can go over to Big Bad, cancel one figure out of an order, and I'm fine.
Yeah,
I did that with nope. And I did that with this order that you saw here. Mm-hmm. I had a flesh colored Evelyn on pre-order separate. and then I opted to get just the whole Wave 4 box because it was just cheaper and I got Fisto out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I canceled her. No big deal. No harm, no foul. I have an Eternian Palace Guard on pre-order with Entertainment Earth.
Yeah.
And it dawned on me. It dawned on me, hey, I want at least one more. So I just went over to Big Bad and pre-ordered another one today.
Mm-hmm. Price,
but I will say that a little bit, it wasn't horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't crazy. But like for me, at this point, if I can do a pre-order anywhere, I'll do Big Bag Toy Store first, just for the agency they give you on your online. You don't have to contact them or anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the mintiest Marvel Legends figure I've ever received came from Entertainment Earth. That was the first toy video I ever did, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I always say good things about them, even if there's bits of it. Like, I'm not talking, I don't want to talk trash about any retailer that's doing the work, right? I just think that the customer experience is different in the different places. You have to be careful based upon what your needs are. My needs are reserve this for me and let me pay for it when I can, for the most part, to a certain degree. Big Bad is the best place for that, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with Entertainment Earth, you're paying more in shipping over time than you would anywhere else. So it becomes a problem.
Yep.
But that also speaks to ordering smart too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I ordered the Castle Grayskull separate because I was like, you know what? I just want this to be its own thing. And I know I'm going to get the shipping for free on this one thing kind of situation. But then that keeps coming back up on Amazon as well at retail. And I'm like,
yeah, if you can catch it.
Yeah. And another thing, and I hesitate to bring this up, but I'm going to, a tool that you can use, like if you set a budget for yourself, as one should, and your budget is, let's say, $25 a paycheck for toys, but you find $100 worth of stuff in one weekend right after your paycheck, use something like Affirm or Klarna, where it's zero interest and you can pay it over a few paychecks. But don't stack them.
Right.
And get outside of your budget. That's the trap that you can get into. And I'm frankly pretty close to that trap.
Yep.
But what I've been doing to combat that is when the paycheck comes in, I pay off X amount of these orders. So I just kind of go back and say, well, I want to pay for it now. And you have to, like, at some point, cut yourself off, right? But it can get really slippery if you're not careful. But it's a good option if you set a budget and you see something like a Grayskull where it's like, hey, I can't afford this right this second, but I have $25. Let me throw down and get the thing shipped, and it's cool. So be careful with those tools, but they're very useful in those instances. You got to be careful. Choose your battles, right? But
it's a slippery slope. That's why I find myself all the time. Like I'll be, I talked about this with Bobby Valla. Like when you're collecting, you'll get to like 75% on something, and then you stop because either A, run into only the expensive stuff is what's left, or you just run out of steam or whatever. Like I've completely stopped buying the vintage collection Star Wars figures. I can't, because I'm like, I can't afford to collect the Black Series, Marvel Legends, MOTOR. Like I can't keep up with all these lines, so things end up getting put on the chopping block.
So I'm a super, like I'm very much a cherry picker when it comes to Marvel Legends. And I've explained it in various ways. And again, you're younger than I am, so I don't know if you had the same twinge. But when they announced that new Fantastic Four line, because that's the 80s, 90s classic FF costume. I was going to wait until the movie came out and just get the MCU version, right? But that. So my patrons got this video that was edited of me pre-ordering those off of BBTS. And I felt great because it was like my goal with Origins right now, as silly as it is to be caught up and just catch the pre-orders.
Right.
Like once I'm there, which I'm insanely close to, and when you consider that I started collecting them a month ago,
Yeah,
that's
a chunk of change. Yeah,
a little bit. But I pay retail for the majority of it, and I pick my battles and target kitties orders aside. Like it all is evening out. It's okay. And I make decent enough money, and I'm not struggling for rent so much and so forth. But I am also saying, okay, you've shot your load, calm down,
Yep.
get settled again, because life is changing. It's not just me anymore. So once I get, but the thing is, I did the work, so to speak. I paid the price to where I could afford to do that. Okay. You have to be able to make a plan. That's my thing. Make a plan, make a budget, stick with it, and run things through until you get things taken care of. Right. Jim Largo, you're killing me, dude. He says the vintage Fantastic car will fit the new FF Legends figs with a little modification. Just say no. I'm not buying that trash. No. How dare you put that thought in my head? Like I won't even buy a damn was it Rotor from the vintage line? Not Rotor. It's
from Motu?
Yeah,
the Roton.
Roton. Yeah. I always get that confused with the B movie. I won't even buy one of those vintage because I know we're going to get one. I know it in my heart.
Yeah.
And
been on the box hard enough, we'll get it.
Right. What I haven't seen is the attack track.
Yeah.
That I'm willing to buy. And they're not expensive. And they won't be until Mattel says they're not releasing it.
Yeah. I'd wager that we're going to have to get the back half of the battle ram for the Sky Sled, because you can see, if you look at the Sky Sled, there's like what looks to be like clips that'll like lock it into place. So if I were a gambling man, I'd say since we got Lords of Power, Beastman, and Merman, we'll probably get the back half of the battle ram with Lords of Power Man at Arms.
I agree with that.
If I were a gambling man. So just like I think Lords of Power Skeletor will come with Snake Mountain.
I agree with that. But what I would say is that if they're going to release the back half of that, they should at that point release the battle sleds separate. Just saying.
Yeah.
Because they would sell a metric fuck ton of those at that point. You would think, you would hope, you would wish. Because I don't, as Michael French has said a myriad times, I don't want to see this stuff fail. I just want to see it done correctly. And with Mattel, I think there's a palpable frustration because they're so close. The only thing they're feeling at is their distribution plan, honestly. But it could be worse. Could be worse. But, Jim Largo brings up a good point with Hasbro. He says that they're a bit gun shy on 6-inch. They're gun shy on guns.
Yeah, except for Black Series, we get a lot of vehicles with them. So,
which is,
they're all kind of small, but like the only big one we've gotten, outside of that first order TIE Fighter, which we made a big joke about in the all tied up Star Wars Ballers video, the Snow Speeder. It's the only big vehicle that we got, which in my opinion worth every penny. That thing's beautiful. But we get like the dewback, if you count that. We have the land speeder. We have the speeder bikes, like all sorts of little vehicles for that. But they're all small, basically motorcycles is what the speeder bikes are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've talked to Bobby about this at length, and he's talked about it at length without me. Vehicles at that scale are going to be a lot more than what people are willing to pay. So,
yeah. And some of that, I think, depends upon your resources. And I'm not trying to say anything negative about, where Bobby's at. He's an independent toy maker. even if he has some of the best contacts in the biz, there's a limited amount of resources versus a Hasbro or Mattel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the more you create in bulk, the lower you can sell at retail and make a profit, right? But he's 100% correct at any at any scale, whether we're talking about a Valaverse or Hasbro or Mattel. For the most part, scaled like the stuff that we saw in the 80s vintage G.I. Joe line, we're never going to see again.
Mm-mm.
Unless they start really doubling down on retail.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. You know, you could have brought a Unicron, a scale Unicron that they brought out through Pulse
Mm-hmm.
to market for about $300 if you released it en masse
Mm-hmm.
and rolled the dice. No one wants to roll the dice. And
Right.
in Bobby's case, I don't blame him for not rolling the dice. I really don't,
Right.
because it's such a niche market and he's a smart businessman for not going down that road, and I won't begrudge him for it for a second. If he did release some vehicles, I wouldn't say no, but I know that it's not a good business practice for him at the level that he's selling, no matter how crazy popular it gets. And Godzilla, I hope that it sells billions,
Mm-hmm.
you know. It's just not feasible.
Right.
And it's barely feasible for a Hasbro, even if they did do the retail stuff, right? And I think that you look at like the Rogue One line of stuff, like the toys that they released with that and with Force
Mm-hmm.
Awakens, not bad at all.
Yeah.
This new Poe Dameron, pardon me, X-Wing that is coming out, that looks pretty slick.
Yeah.
But what is it, like $120 or something?
Yeah, it's basically a repaint of the Vintage Collection X-Wing that they already have.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Rogue One vehicles suffered from the gimmicks, the Nerf darts,
Yeah.
and the app integration and all that kind of stuff. But
all the things they could have saved by not doing,
right?
Because they had to pay a license to Nerf.
Yep.
The machining and all the app development stuff. Yeah.
So they own Nerf. Hasbro does.
Do they?
Sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, I could be wrong on that.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, they own damn near everything else.
Okay, Lethal Weapon 2, Murtaugh.
Yes.
No.
No.
Did you get that? No.
I've seen Lethal Weapon probably once in the last 2 decades. So, yeah.
Because of your age, I will excuse it. The fact that you've seen it at all at your age is okay. So, not the point. Jim Largo brings up something. Snowspeeder was awesome, but no love for Marvel Legends. Family and opportunity don't see that have the talent, but have discretionary income. I think this is where diorama and custom stuff comes into play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I reached out to the Craftsman about was, I said, I have this vision in my head where I want to take slate rock, fake moss, fake trees, and build them into like mounds so that you could have like modular landscapes of various things. So you can move things around from time to time and make things interesting. And based upon what he's shown on his channel, I have a couple ideas of how that could work, but I thought if I have a direct line to the man, why don't I ask him how he would do it? Because I want to make sure I'm not missing like a really key detail that would make it easy. And I'm waiting to see where that comes from. And the relative cost to making those would pretty negligible, right? And when we talk about Marvel Legends, all you have to do is create essentially different parts of New York. Let's face it, most of Marvel happens in New York City.
Right.
And that's not that much of an ask. So you would have to come up with a couple different 3D print like faces. So where you'd have like this veneer almost of like a skyscraper facade. And then you could just build out of wood or polymer or whatever, and then just print and just like duplicate your print up to a certain point. Because these don't have to be like full-blown skyscrapers. They just got to reach from the street level up to the top of your display, and you could customize that stuff. And again, relative cost is pretty negligible. I've seen every single play set that has come out for a Marvel property, and I'm always like, what? Look at the Toy Biz Spider-Man one, it's trash. Look at like that whole Daily Bugle thing. Like their heart was in the right place, but it's a piece of shit. I'm sorry. And Ed, like, I'm so sorry you paid any money for that thing for as fragile as that abomination is.
Yep, I got that for my birthday. It lasted. It broke by the end of the day.
Can't do it. And I can't do the cardboard stuff for the most part. Yeah. Overall, I can't. Like, I want something with 3 dimensions to it, with the exception of like a vintage toy line like a Palatoy Death Star or something, which is just a genius of engineering.
Right.
If we had stuff
in a 3-dimensional space.
Right. If we had that level and cardboard was a big factor on it, like I'd be there 100%, but no one's doing that. So like, at what point do you think as a customizer that play sets, where do we start to say these aren't coming out, let's make stuff,
right,
but not try to make it like an independent release mass thing? Like I don't want to get into like a
where's the middle ground between a retail release versus like made to order, right?
Like certain Star Wars repro controversies I'm not going to get into here,
right?
I'd like to have something right down the middle. Like, what do you think is feasible realistically?
As much as I don't care for them, I know NECA does play sets for like their Ninja Turtles. I have
they're not bad.
As I have no firsthand experience with them. I've only seen pictures online. So the thing is a lot of these like promotional images you see of toys, like through NECA, through Marvel Legend photo shoots and all that. And so these dioramas do exist. Like they've been made, probably made in shop for that specific reason. As a customizer, if I want it, I'm just going to make it myself. But also as a customizer and a collector, space is a premium. Unless you have like a dedicated, I don't know, full basement where you can set up these dioramas and leave them there. They take up space. Like I was making, I had it, completely finished except for like the background thing that I wanted to make. I made a Cobra throne room for my 3 3/4 GI Joe. I made the pillars. I made the like cement blocks and all that out of styrofoam. And I was going to make a big curtain that hung in the back with a big Cobra logo on it and all that. So I pretty much got it all except for that curtain part. I had to throw it away. I had no room for it. Like I made it in 2019, and we're now rapidly approaching 2022, and I never had a chance to put it on display. It was always in a Walmart bag because I never had room to display it, so threw it away. So, yeah.
Sal, I'm never one to skimp on paying for storage. If you ever consider throwing away something you put that much time into, you contact me, I'll store it for you, I'll send it back to you, and I'll pay the shipping both ways. You don't ever do that shit again.
I can make another one in an afternoon. I appreciate the sentiment. I'll keep that in mind for things that are more difficult to make.
Like if you get an iron lung, like Jim, I need you to store my extra iron lung. Like I get it. And I'm thinking about that. Like I look at like Etsy, for example, right? Like there's this one seller who I'm not going to name, partially because I can't remember off the top of my head, and also because I'm not 100% convinced of their price point, right? They took the classics Snake Mountain table and throne, and recast them and scaled them down just a tiny bit to where they still fit classics, and you can get away with using them for Origins.
Right.
paint deco is as far. I think you know the one I'm talking about.
I think so. Yeah.
Pretty insane. All I will say is that they were featured on the Hebrew YouTube channel. Not my favorite channel, but it was a cool walkthrough on that particular piece. It was pretty crazy. And it's something where for a chair and a table for 5.5 figures, you pay 120 for it. It's like, but then you look at the sculpt and it's like, the retail's not going like you look at the classics, Grayskull and Snake Mountain, and then you relative to that go, well, these two pieces in a Snake Mountain shell triple the play value of that play set, right? Have you ever taken a stab at something like that?
No, I can't say that I have. But I don't have a 3D printer for one. Which that's with the invention of the internet and YouTube, you can learn how to do anything. Except,
it's true.
I need to tell people my desire to know is nowhere near matched by my laziness. Okay, like that's what it boils down to. Like, yeah, I would love to have a 3D printer and know how to do all that, but I am exceptionally lazy. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, yeah, I make a lot. I work a full-time job. I make YouTube videos. I do these customs. But when, like, just like with collecting certain toy lines, certain things have to get sacrificed. Like, I'm only in my 30s, and I understand I only have so much time on this planet. So, but
that's also fair.
Yeah. If I got a 3D printer, so I buy a lot of Dio pieces off a guy called Justin Customs. He's on Instagram and all those places. That's where I get like my pillars that you saw, right? That's where those pillars came from.
Right.
He does trees. He does like this pile of bones right here.
What did you charge for each of those pieces, roughly, average?
The pillars, because they come as a set.
Okay.
I think the pillars were $12, something.
That's it?
Maybe. Because I know I did it unboxing, so I got this. I got 2 trees wherever they went. Like 2. There's one. Come here, you. Like a very decently sized tree. They came as a pair. I got like these little like effect things that clip onto things. A plague doctor head, wherever that went.
Okay.
I don't see it. Oh, there it is. So, like, one of these things right here.
Plague mask, I got you.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of stuff, and it was like $70 shipped, something like that.
Can't beat that. You really can't. Especially when you go to an Amazon and you look at the dioramas that are cardboard that are made, and they're like $70 for 3 walls and a floor.
Right.
That has no customization whatsoever built in.
Right.
That's what you have. You got a guy like that. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I feel like there probably needs to be more visibility for those kinds of sellers, because that's the kind of stuff that I think most of your collectors, whether they're my age, your age, or even younger, are really looking for. That ability to grab something, not have to do all the extra work, and build something. So that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Before it goes too low, and I don't mean to interrupt your point, because I do think you're going to come back around, because this plays into it a little bit. But Aussie Rule 777 is asking our opinion on the McFarlane horror and music toys of the late 90s, early 2000s, and if they should be ridiculous prices. Short version, no, they should not be the ridiculous price. They should be repressed and re-released and be of a decent value, because McFarlane Toys always has quality, but they suffer from the same thing that almost every other major manufacturer does. Like, it's limited print runs, and it's dumb. There's no reason for that. Like, you should be able to print things once you have the molds. If people want them, like, that's how your manufacturer should stifle the aftermarket sellers
Mm-hmm.
in terms of inflation. Print more.
Yeah.
Like we talked about Beastman 2 hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like they
It's
made
not a hard
more.
concept. Yeah.
No, they made
Real-
more.
Real quick, are you using a geek vape?
I am,
Is
yes.
that the mod you have?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. I have 2 of them. Ha ha! Reason number 247 why Sal and I are instant best friends, man.
Yeah.
We're both into like metal. We have very similar interests in toys, but they manifest in different ways. Like I'm
Mhm.
very interested in the modding stuff. I'm not there yet. You've been there, and then you're looking at it from like the other side too. Like we just match, bro. We just
Mhm.
match.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt like that. I just kept seeing that. I was
No.
like, I think we have the same mod. Sorry.
Yeah, I got this one early last year because the one I had, I was just sick of the battery dying all the time because I had the Solo.
Mm-hmm.
And my buddy Rob from Order 42 show, folks, if you don't follow Order 42 show on everything, you're dumb because he's amazing and one of my best friends. He's great.
Yeah. Aussie rules.
But he's
yes,
also-
we're both gonna go do karate in the garage.
Yes, absolutely. He is a vape enthusiast to the level of like the depth we're talking about toys. He can talk about vaping.
Mhm.
Like he's that into it. Like he makes his own mods and stuff.
Wow.
Right. And so when he said like, no, man, that aside from the screen, which is a bit gaudy, like that's a solid mod, I nabbed it. And then out of nowhere, he's like, bro, you can get that same mod for like $30 right now. Like when like the whole like Congress thing happened with vaping,
Mm-hmm.
where you couldn't ship certain things, people were going nuts with like Chinese fire sales
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. Chinese fire drill, whatever that term is, and it's not meant to be racist. That's an old school term for like getting rid of stuff quick. I nabbed it, and I have one sealed in box. Who talks about vape mods like toys? I have it mint on card in a drawer. I'm just hanging on to it. And what's going to happen? I guarantee it. And Suze will be able to corroborate when the time comes. What's going to happen? I'm going to have one in the office and one in the living room.
Yep.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So it's not because I forget to grab it, but because I'm always going to want it at my desk and then have one somewhere else.
That's
You
people
know?
ask me how I get the smoke and the clouds and stuff in all my thumbnails. That's how.
Yeah.
Like if you look at like the photos I post on Instagram and all that, I'm a firm believer in practical effects.
Yep.
So outside of some like minor like lighting adjustments that I do, so that way it's like, oh, like all the colors, like I use those LEDs that I was showing you earlier, like everything's 100% natural. I don't Photoshop anything in or out. It's just, sometimes like, oh, like I have like it looks great how I'm looking at it, but through my camera, it's like, oh, it doesn't quite show up. So I'll like slide the brightness up or down to try and adjust so you can see things. And outside of that, it's 100% like practical effects every time.
Well, like I did the Game Chasers movie, and I don't know if you know who they are. But when we did that movie, we had a bunch of professional movie people on set. One of the folks was a guy named Leon Harris.
Mhm.
He did practical effects on Justice League and Maleficent and a bunch of stuff. He lives in the UK.
Mhm.
When he heard the Game Chasers did a movie, he said, I'm buying a plane ticket and flying over. Donated his damn services for smoke, among other things.
Mm-hmm.
One of my best mates in the world. We're trying to get him over to Texas because he loves Texas, which
Everyone
is like,
does.
You're not wrong.
Anyone who has 2 brain cells to rub together loves Texas.
Especially when you get to the urban environments like DFW, where like culture is all over the place, and anything you want, you can get in Texas, in DFW, especially. Like if you like a certain kind of food, certain kind of toy, certain kind of tech, certain kind of anything, you can find it in Texas. But
and you've got the DFW action figure G.I. Joe show. So
there's that too.
Yeah.
But I'm importing my ideal woman, but she's originally from Texas, so that doesn't quite pan out. So she's originally from here, so it's like it doesn't really count as an import, so to speak. But I'm a Yankee through and through. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, and I was born in Boston and stuff. And I have a little bit of Chicago in my accent, and I think that this also comes from the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say "to" differently, TOO, different than most. So I'm like, oh yeah, keep mouthing off too. I put an H on the end of it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a Marine Corps thing. But people think it's from Chicago. It's not.
Like dadgum.
Yeah.
You said dadgum earlier. I was like, oh, Marines.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're a Navy veteran, right?
Correct.
Okay. I don't know if you ever mentioned it before, but if you haven't, exclusive. Just saying. But the chat is winding down. We've kind of covered everything. You and I, because we've become such good friends so quickly, we could probably talk 5 ever.
Yeah.
But I will be on your show, I hope, at some point. You will definitely be on my show again.
Absolutely.
For sure. So, Gojitron is asking if born in Boston, did you partake in the Creature double feature? No. I was born in Boston, but we moved out by the time I was 3. And my first memory I can think of, I believe, was us visiting Pennsylvania. When I walked into the specific area, the Incredible Hulk was on TV, so I have no memories from Boston. So I apologize for that. But it's a whole thing. So I don't think that there's any points that we could make about the initial topic that we need to retread. Obviously, be patient. Be honest with yourself about what your value proposition is. Don't bullshit yourself. And just be careful, and you're going to be fine. Don't sell things unless you have doubles of them, ever. I think that's a very strong point. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If you have any love for the stuff you have, don't sell it. Just don't, because you'll pay for it later, literally.
If you're thinking, like, if you look at something and you have to think about if you want to sell it or not, you probably don't.
Exactly.
Like, if you're like, yeah, I don't want this, then sell it. Who cares?
Same is true for buying, though, on a certain degree. If the price it's got you hem-hawn, don't.
Yep.
If the price has you hem-hawn, don't bother with it. So
that's how I am with Galactus right now.
I'm not even touching it. Not.
Yeah.
I think it's a really impressive achievement. I think it's a really cool figure. Even at the price point, I think it's pretty cool. But it should be about half of what it's costing. If you look at this, if you look at the scale realistically, there's no reason it should be that high.
Yeah.
What's it going for? Like 6?
Galactus. Oh God, I didn't even look. I know I ordered a couple of those Sentinels last year, and I'm still feeling that. So
yeah.
But yeah. So here's the thing, right? Pro tip from a customizer, from people who make their own stuff. You'll never get a Galactus true to scale. I understand he shrinks, he grows, he can change the size, all that kind of stuff. If you want that Galactus like you see in the cartoon where he's like holding people in his hands, buy yourself a mannequin, make a Galactus costume, and that can be your Galactus.
Yep. And you will spend a lot less money.
Yeah.
And one could argue that someone out in the creator community needs to buy that Galactus that they have created, scan that bitch into 3D, scale it up. And then you can 3D print the whole thing. And then you're just talking about putting plastic pieces on something, painting it up, taking, what could arguably, if you were able to print out all of the armor pieces and stuff like that, right? Print time aside, you could then glue everything on and paint it in a weekend or 2 and have something amazing. I think people need to spend more time on figuring out what's going to work for them as opposed to waiting for these manufacturers to make it, because it's clear that they're just not going to give us exactly what we want.
Right. They never will, because they want you to buy that next update. They'll give you 90% of what you want with like, oh, it's perfect, except he doesn't have this. So when the next one comes out, and it has that 10%, but now it's missing a different 10%. So you have to buy that one and mash the two together to get what you want.
And Motu Origins being that almost exception because they allow you that customization within the line.
Right.
But they're still getting your money. So there's no 100% way to do it. So here's how I want to close out. Because fuck it. This is completely off topic, but I don't care.
Okay.
Top 5 metal bands for you, go.
Oh fuck. All right. So including guilty pleasures.
Including who?
Including guilty pleasures.
Sure, why not?
All right. So top 5 in no particular order. Slipknot is going to be on there. That is a massive guilty pleasure of mine.
Fair.
We were all teenagers at one point.
Yeah.
So they hit me at that right age, and I've been holding on to them ever since.
Rip Joey.
Yeah, Rip Joey. Paul Gray died the day after my birthday.
He died on my birthday.
Oh, damn.
Well, without going into like salacious detail, I have personal issues with some of the members of Slipknot, so I don't really. Yeah, that's a whole thing.
I got you.
If you know your history, I was in the band Anal Blast, and some of the cats from Slipknot were Anal Blast before. And sorry, cats, if you're really into Slipknot, I'm about to spoil some shit for you that you never wanted spoiled in your life. Eeyore, one of the most celebrated Slipknot songs in the world, was a ripped off Anal Blast song. There you go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Have fun with that fact.
Well, I'll just go rip my posters down and.
No, you don't need to do all that stuff because they did some great stuff, and even if they did do a lot of like creative faux pas, right? They were championing death metal not only in their style but in the press at a time when no one else was doing it. So I do give a lot of credit to those guys, even if some of them personally are pieces of shit.
Yeah.
As an institution, nothing wrong with them; they're fine.
Right.
So number 4.
God. Okay, so the rest of them, Mastodon is on there 100%.
Great dudes.
Yeah, I saw them almost 10 years apart to the day, and only got better. So I'm excited to see what happens with them next. I don't know if you would count Tool as a metal band or not.
Close enough. Sure.
So, and I feel like I need to go heavy for like my last 2. Which someone in the chat somewhere who doesn't listen to metal is like, what does it mean go heavy? So
he's right though.
Yeah, probably Cradle is on there. Cradle of Filth for those who don't know the shorthand. And I want to say
tough one.
Yeah, I've got about like 3 different band names floating around in my head. I'm gonna do an honorable mention for Animals as Leaders, and I guess the final slot goes to either. I'm just gonna say Borknagar. I was gonna say Dimmu. Yeah, I was gonna say Dimmu, but
choice. I'm laughing at what I know about Borknagar.
Yeah.
So they had that one drummer at one point. His name was Dave Kincaid. You know that name? Do you?
I've heard it. Like, can I put a name to the face? Absolutely not. Can I tell you? Like, it's kind of like Hellhammer. Like,
yeah,
it's a name that you hear. So I know what Hellhammer was in Mayhem, but that's like the extent of my knowledge with Hellhammer.
I am most known for being the drummer for Cardiac Arrest, and which is like old school death metal with some grind in it. Go figure, right? But just as I joined that band, David Kincaid was a roommate of mine for about 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. But this is before he like got some notoriety and stuff. He was getting back on his feet and stuff, and I didn't mind helping him out. Didn't work out that great for us personally because there was some internet drama, as you tend to have. But he's, by all accounts, he's a better dude now and did some great stuff in every band he's been in, and I respect the hell out of him as a drummer. But at the time, it was a bit shitty. But yeah, I've gone in those circles and stuff. So I'm gonna give you 5 beers in metal top 5, and I'm not gonna give you an order. I'm sorry. Because like one is reserved for Napalm Death. Spoilers. But I'd say Anthrax. I would say Morbid Angel, Cannibal Corpse.
Oh yeah.
I gotta put Death in there. Gotta do it.
Yeah. Rip Chuck.
Gotta do it. Yeah, have to do it. When I met him, he was the kindest, gentlest person, and also one of the best musicians I've ever. So, do you know the Control Denied project? Okay. So that was basically Sound of Perseverance era Death plus a melodic vocalist. His name is, look that shit up.
Yeah, that's a game
it's Tim Amar.
Okay.
Yeah, which is his name is Tim Amar, and I knew him before that project formed. And we worked at this telemarketing place in Pittsburgh. He, along with an engineer, produced the first demo I ever did in a studio.
Wow.
6 weeks later, he comes to work in a Death symbolic long sleeve, and I'm like, you don't listen to this stuff. What are you doing? I've been in Florida for the last 2 weeks demoing for this thing called Control Denied, and it's an offshoot of this band. If you heard of them, I'm like, bro.
Yeah.
And then things started to snowball, and next thing I know, a year later, Death comes to town on Sound of Perseverance, which was built off of like half Control Denied songs. And I met Chuck, and Chuck says, hey, you know, Timmy tells me that you were a key part in him accepting this position in Control Denied, and I want to thank you personally. And he gave me a hug. And we got to be friends for about a year before he died.
Wow.
Amazing dude. So everything you've heard about him is true, the bad and the good, but the good far outweighs the bad. Amazing fella. Control Denied, you can get it through Relapse and stuff, but I might have something for you after the stream. So we could have a whole goddamn show about metal, and we should in the somewhat near future. But for now, I have taken up so much of your time, sir, and I am so grateful that you were so generous. And Tony for being honest and saying, I'm not feeling great. You guys go. Thank you, brother. Everyone who's been here, left, came back, everything else, you're awesome. Please leave a like. Let us know what's going on. You have the link. Share it to other folks if you think that this would be fun for someone to listen to during their work commute or something like that. That's what we're here for. I have a Patreon. I have a Streamlabs tip as well, as this thing is telling you. So if you want to support, that's where you go. If you want to support Sal, go to 2 Cents Toys on YouTube. Where else can they find you that you want them to know?
Well, you can find me on all the socials as 2 Cents Toys, though the Facebook page and the Twitter account are pretty much dead. They do exist, but if you're trying to reach me on there, I check that shit like once every 6 months. So Instagram is the place to find me if you want to find a social, or just the YouTube channel, or if you are someone that I know, you can find me on Facebook just as Salvador.
There you go.
Yeah. Can't miss me.
So,
Giant Chrome Head is my Facebook photo.
Good old Destro Cobra Commander is your yes, that's right. That's a pretty good Destro impression. I should do that more often.
Hell yeah.
In any case, Sal, dude, thank you so much. This was completely a whim, and I really thought that it would only go for like an hour and a half, and here we are at like just shy of 3 hours. So generous. Thank you so much. Can't wait to do it again.
It's my pleasure.
And we will see all of you on the next one. May all your grinds be merry and metal. Cheers.